Good evening, folks. Welcome back to a Wednesday hobby hangout. Hope everybody is well. Hope you're all hope you're nicely settled at home there. You've got your paints out. You've got a nice little sort of something to drink there, and everybody's ready for a bit of a ramble and a bit of a chat and a bit of hobbying. Who we got in the chat tonight? I think, if I remember right, it was Paul Inman posted on the Facebook group today to say he was definitely the first one in earlier on. Peter Nicholas says, not sure about this game, all the more reason to look in tonight. I'm painting up some Wild West Exodus stuff tonight. I'll talk a little bit about the game. I'm obviously no expert. I've kind of been reading the rule book recently and stuff, but yeah, we'll have a little chat about it. If people got any questions, I'll answer what I can. Arnold de Ganses was in as well, nice and early. He says, not starting yet another game. Got myself primed, Ossiarch Bone Reaper army in the closet, and have gone out full on Warcry. Do not have the funds nor the time to invest in another game, but still here. Hello, Arnold. I just want to kind of say as well, folks, is that these hobby hangouts, like you don't need to be kind of swayed or sidetracked by what I'm painting. This is just, I've got some stuff I need to do, and so I'm sitting painting, so I kind of hang out with you lot and we do it together. But it just wouldn't, regardless of what I'm painting, you paint whatever you want. Don't let me sway you into a game just by painting some different minis and stuff. Timbo Clare was one of the early birds. Hello to you. Barry Clare was out golfing with the kids today. Says, have fun. Thank you, Barry. I hope you get a good round in there. Mark Wright's in as well. Good evening to you. We've got Luke in there, standard tabletop there. Says, sup ballers? How are we all doing tonight? Pretty good, mate. We've got Dirk in there as well, shouting first, about 10 comments down. Tim was saying, how do. Mark's building his Dead Zone Vehement tonight. Dirk says he's doing some dishes and then he'll put some final touches to some hassle-frees for Reality's Edge. I don't really know what Reality's Edge is, to be fair. Luke's starting on the layout of his Stalingrad diorama. I saw that you'd got those minis off the front of, is it War Games Illustrated this month? Nice way to use them, mate, yeah. Mr. Trainer Guy says, always like the look of these models, such a cool idea. I think War Cradle took over the game last year or so. I think it's, first of all, mate, hello. I think it's been nearer about, it must be about 3 or 4 years ago now, actually, to be fair. It's been quite some time that they took it over from Outlaw Miniatures. Peter's finishing building and painting his first Amager Warglaive. I wish I knew what that is, mate. Is it? No, I don't know what it is. I was going to guess, but I don't think it is. Philip Tallhurst says they're based similarly to mine. I really want to get into Wild West Exodus. Hopefully have the chance post-lockdown. Good evening, Philip. How are you doing? John Estill says, evening all. He's going to get some progress on his Kraken tonight. He'd be cracking on with that. Dad jokes all around. Philip says, currently making British automated infantry for Conflict 47. Such a pain to build. Oh dear. Why is it when I click a little bit, it scrolls a lot? There we go. I'm back where it was now. Peter is making the same joke there, better crack on. David Moffat says, hello, BlackJack Arenos. Hello, David. Jacobson as well. Can't wait to check these models out. Well, I'll flick over to them very soon, mate. We've got Palmsy in as well. 6 in the head says, hope everyone is well. Tim Kelly's in as well, just washing up. What's this washing up, folks? Don't your partners know Wednesday night's your night? Tim's saying he's doing these Mantics Walking Dead, eeny, meeny, miny, more diorama. Nice. He said he messed up Negan's face, have to redo it. He looks like he has drag makeup on. We've got Busey in as well, saying good evening to the BlackJack Legacies. Boots on the Tail with Dom says, evening all. Hello to you, Dom. Luke saying, I don't come to watch what you're painting, I just love that silky smooth macam tone. That's exactly what it is, mate. It's just, come for the chat, don't worry about what I'm painting. I'm painting anyway, that's all I'm doing. Because if I didn't paint, it would be just the same as every Monday's chat, where I'm just kind of like trying to be sort of entertaining. I don't feel like I need to be entertaining when I'm painting, I'm just kind of rambling. We've got VJ's in as well, says, morning peeps, good morning to you, sir. Nice and early for you, I think. Yoakum's in as well. Good evening, Yoakum. Said he's just reading Burrs and Badges. I saw that you in the Patreon group, mate, that you just you'd picked up that rule book. It's a really nice book, isn't it? I'm sure you'll love it. David Delaney's in as well, saying, hey everyone, he's cooking up some lunch and he's going to finish his Untamed Beasts. We've got Kieran in from Outside Dice Podcast. Hello, Kieran. Says he's not painting pizza and rolling up a character for Star Wars RPG action. Nice, mate. Jonathan Wyborn's in. He says, evening, painted many of these. Great fun figures. Yeah, the stuff I've got is essentially from an old starter set, actually, that you can't buy anymore now, I don't think, which is the Gunfight at Treadle starter set, which has kind of 5 miniatures for the Outlaws and 5 miniatures for the Lawmen. It's got dice, it's got cards. The cards are no longer relevant anymore. It's got a rule book in it. The rule book's no longer relevant now. It's got some templates in it and kind of tokens and things. And I just thought, I downloaded the rule book the other day. I've been reading through it. It seems like it's kind of settled down now from when I first tried it. The rules seem to change every time I kind of looked at the game. But they seem to have settled down a little bit now. The rules, I think the last time they were updated was like a year ago now. So I think they're in a bit of a better place. I think some of the stats are still changing and stuff, but I'd just be printing the cards off anyway now. So Wild West Exodus by War Cradle Studios. If you go to their website, the rules, the cards, the counters, everything you need is absolutely free to download. So if you are interested after tonight, by all means, check it out. It is free to look at it. So yeah, I'm just painting up the plastic minis that came in that set. I'll show you them in a second. I just thought if I paint up the two little bits, it's enough for like a bit of a demo game. I can kind of roll some dice and see what I think. Where are we at? As he always says. Philip's saying, also with Exodus, all the factions have both good and bad facets, even the Hex. It's got a good spread of factions too. Yeah, I quite like them actually. I was looking to see if there was any factions that I particularly liked that I would kind of buy myself a starter set or something, but there was nothing that specifically like kind of screamed out to me. So I thought, well, I'll use what I've got, and it's free to get into it, and I'll take it from there and see what I think. So essentially what I'm doing tonight is I've done one half of the starter box. I'll tell you what, let's flick across to that and I'll show you what we've done already. So I've done one half of the starter box. So these are the Outlaws. And I forget who this is. I think this is Frank. No, that's not Frank James. This is just a guy on what I think it's called an interceptor. So as you can see, for those that don't know, Wild West Exodus is very much kind of like an alternative history kind of weird steampunk universe. And for all the models that are in this set are like kind of cowboy looking, if you like, very Wild West looking. There are all sorts of factions in there, kind of aliens and some very strange kind of characters and stuff, so it's worth checking out. So yeah, essentially what I've done is this is pretty much all contrast paints with a tiny little bit of dry brushing, and I'm really getting into the contrast paints and using them more and more. I'm finding that it's really speeding up my output, and it doesn't. I'm not using the contrast primers. I'm just using my normal primers. I'm kind of Zenithal priming them, and I feel like I'm kind of whizzing through these things. So yeah, that's one of them. There is, I forget what these are called now. I don't know if these are gun dogs, I think they're called. You might have saw this one the other night, and I've basically changed that to blue, so it more like the whatever the weapon is, just so it kind of blends in with the rest of the faction. And again, this is literally all just it was obviously primed, the whole thing covered in a grey contrast paint. Pick out some gold bits on it, and then a quick dry brush of silver over the top, and that was like 90% of it done. You'll see me doing, there's another one basically that comes in this, and the other side of the set, this one, and you'll see me do that one probably later on tonight, and I'll show you just how quick they are. But yeah, so that's those two. There's a small little kind of canine, kind of mechanical dog looking things, which are pretty cool as well. And again, that one was done literally in minutes. We've got Frank James here as well, who is Jesse James' brother. That one's, I'll just get a little bit closer there because it's obviously a bit dark against that black background. But yeah, that is pretty much all contrast paints with a tiny little bit of dry brush on it and stuff. But yeah, I'll be showing you how I do them tonight. And the last model in that set is Jesse James himself. And these are all the plastic ones, like I say, folks. I think most of them are resin now, to be fair, and I've heard good things about the quality of the resins. But yeah, I mean, you can probably see the contrast paint a bit more on the cloak there. That's usually, I think that was a grey contrast paint I've used on that one. But yeah, everything else pretty much contrast paints and dry brushing. So I've done a test model for the other side. So I've got no idea who this is. I think Wyatt Earp is the main dude, and I've got no idea who this guy is. But again, contrast paints, bit of dry brushing, Didn't take too long at all, so I'll be showing you how I'm doing these ones. And the ones I've got basically for this set, there's another bike. This one's with wheels rather than gliding across, which is kind of very nice. This is probably my favourite model in the whole set, if I'm honest. Really like the look of that one. We've got another one of those little dogs. We've got the gun dog thing, or whatever they're called here. And then we've got Wyatt Earp himself as well, the main guy. I think that's the one I'll start with tonight. So I'll very quickly flick back and just see what we've got, and then I'll crack on with some painting. We were up to Bobby Clark's this evening, been painting a Marine versus Demon mural today for a display board. Nice, mate. Frantic says, hi everyone, he's just building some EOS models tonight that I got from the Soul Wars box. Nice one. Starky's in as well, painting D&D and having a bad contrast day. What's bad about it, mate? What's bad? Boots on the Table says, painting German ancient warriors for the new infamy rules. William Jones, good evening to you, sir. He's saying he's caught a boss. That's a good start, mate, isn't it? Steve Evans is in as well. Peter Nicholas, good evening, Steve, by the way. Peter Nicholas says the Warglaive is the smallest Imperial Knight. Has a chainsword and a melter type. I'm not up on the Knights, mate. That's probably why then. Brian Martin's in as well. I've just saw his name before it jumped. He says, hello all, hour or so till he's off work, hitting up some Warcry tonight. Nice one. VJ saying it's half 5 in the morning, but the wife's up getting ready for work, and the little one will be up soon as well, so he's relaxing with a cup of green tea and some chatter. Nice one, mate. Timbo says that the video crashed and you could only see the chat. I hope it's all right for everybody else. I think it seems to be. Andrew Fairbanks is saying, afternoon from 100 degrees Texas, trying not to burn self on truck. Wasn't there some sort of controversy regarding the creator of Wild West Exodus that kind of sunk its initial growth? So the initial creator of Wild West Exodus was Romeo Phillips, was kind of the owner of Outlaw Miniatures, the guy that basically owns Battleform. And I don't think there was any kind of real controversy as far as I know. But I think what happened was the game was quite well it funded really well at Kickstarter. It launched pretty well, and then I think they went back to Kickstarter a second time to basically further the game. And I think what happened was I think it grew too fast too quickly to the point where it all got massively kind of out of balance, and the rules it grew a bit arms and legs, I think. And from what I understand and from what I'm reading about it, it seems like Warcradle have almost kind of gone back and almost redeveloped the game. The miniatures, a lot of the original sculpts are still the sculpts in the game now, and they are fantastic. They were always really nice, to be fair. But I think the game's very different now. Arnold says, sorry again, but that looks way better than that 40k ones. 40k ones? I don't know. I'm not sure which one we're talking about, mate. Steve says, painting wise, continue with his female on his Kings of War Nature army as well, and some Dark Elf Spearmen for his new kin army. Or the bike. Oh, sorry, I see what you mean, mate. You mean the bikes, sorry, look better than the 40k ones. Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, they are kind of, let me just go back. They are kind of like low slung there as well. There's still not a lot of ground clearance, and like even on these things with like the skis, like skids along the bottom. But then it's kind of yeah, there's a bit more to it. I know what you mean, mate. Lee Russ is in as well. Says, whoops, late to the party. Says he's been absorbed working on one of his Death Watch dreadnoughts. Nice, mate. Gene's in as well. Nice to see you. Blizzards has just woke up. Says, get me some skinks to paint up. David says he's finished your bicycles for a nice afternoon ride, listening to the show on our balcony, enjoying a sun shower. That sounds beautiful, mate. It's been pretty miserable here weather-wise, so yeah, enjoy that sun. David Delaney says, glad to hear you enjoying the contrast painting with the Zenithal Prime. It really is a godsend for larger armies or when you don't have lots of time to paint. To be honest, mate, it's kind of got me excited to give the Necrons a try from the new Indomitors set, because when I like the kind of stuff that I've done with these little gun dog things, honestly, I can see contrast over the top and a quick dry brush of silver just to kind of get, like, even if I go back to this one again, like even with the silver and the gold, and you can see where I've gave a little bit of a dry brush to the gold as well, and it's kind of picked up silver on the edges. So I basically contrast painted it, picked out the gold pieces, and then a light dry brush of the silver over the top of it, and you can see how it's kind of picking up on the edges and things. And I wonder if you might be able to see the kind of I mean, the contrast, it's got a bit of a bluey tinge to that grey, so it looks quite nice, I think. So yeah, I'm kind of happy with how that looks. But yeah, it's made me kind of think I could probably do a really decent and quick job on those Necrons. Luke's saying he's got those mechanical dogs that he got for free. I have a junkyard mini diorama planned for them. Yeah, didn't he come with, again, there was a tabletop war game or something it came with. Peter Cuman's in. Nice to see you, Peter. Tim Kelly says, pretty sure a tabletop magazine gave some of them away. That's right, mate, yeah. Just Kev's in as well. Hello to you. Parseval's in. Good evening, Parseval. Peter's still busy with the Asterians. Timbo says, isn't War Cradle a subsidiary or whatever of Wayland Games? I think they're basically, they're owned by the same person, and I think War Cradle Studios is in the same building, I think, as Wayland, yeah. But I think they're run as two separate companies. Jacob says his Vanguard models haven't arrived yet. He wanted to paint them. What have you ordered, Jacob? Phil saying he's talking about the bikes. Yeah, sorry, mate. Yeah, I read that bit afterwards. Tim was saying he likes those bikes and the dogs. Probably pick up a cent just to paint. Yeah, I seem to remember this set. So all of those models, plus a deck of cards, the profile cards, the rule book, the templates, some D10 dice, like branded dice as well with like kind of symbols on. I think it was only about 35 quid or something like that. It wasn't an expensive starter set. Our problem is I don't think you can pick it up now. I think you can pick up a set now for, I think it's about £50, like retail price. And it's got, in fact, let me just have a quick look. Because I'm not sure how many models it has in the sets. So let's have a quick look, and and I'll see roughly what you get in a set. And I'll bring it up for you. Right, so we'll go across the right monitor here. So yeah, so this is the Wild West Exodus set. All of your different factions are along here. So you've got the Watchers, the Lawmen, Warrior Nation, the Outlaws, the Hex, the Union, the Enlightened, and the Order. And these essentially, so you can get like a kind of a starter set. So like these posse sets, basically, you can get one of these, which are about £35-ish, or you can get these starter sets. Let's have a look at this one. And in the starter set, basically, you get, like for example, you'll get those models. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 models in there. These ones are particularly nice, actually. I quite like these. And then you get what's called the Gubbins set, which is the dice, you get the tokens, you get the rule book, you get one of these acrylic blast template type things, and you also get these small cards here, basically activation cards. You draw one and it tells you how many actions that model can take. So it's quite like it's like a random action type thing, which is quite interesting. And then you've got these Guts and Glory cards, which essentially are in a way to kind of get you to do extra abilities or to score victory points, which are quite nice. So you get all of that for like 50 quid, which is not too bad. They don't have any kind of two-player starter sets, or they don't appear to now anymore. So the one I got was, in fact, there's a review of it on my channel actually. So let's go back to, where are we? We'll go back to the painting screen, I think now. So yeah, there's, let me put that back where it was. Then keep an eye, make sure everything's still working. So yeah, we'll crack on and I'll start my bit chat. Now what did I use? I used so I think for the trousers for these guys, I've been using this this Gore Grunter fur. So we'll start with that one. William Jones is saying, I like the vibe of the Wild West Exodus model so far. I'll go back later on, mate, and I'll show you some of the other factions and stuff. They're really nice quality. It's just, I think, as I mentioned in a live stream a couple of weeks ago, it's a game that you just don't hear being played very often, sadly. But that doesn't stop me painting. I mean, these are models I already had, so Peter saying those minis are striking. Yeah, they are quite nice, mate, aren't they? Just Kev says, question, could you reverse Zenithal Prime? So if the mini is already sprayed white, spray a black or grey from underneath, would that work? Technically, I think you could, mate. I think it would be probably easier to just prime black over the top and then put a light prime over from above if they're already white. The other thing you could do as well is just put a black wash over the top of it. so that you get the dark stuff like running in the recesses. I'm trying to think, have I done it the other way around? I don't think I have done it the other way around, to be fair. You could try it. What you got to lose, basically. If it looks awful, just keep going with the black and just prime it all black, and then come back from the top again after that. VGC, he's had a look at the Mythos stuff. Can't remember who recommended it last time, but none of the factions really floated my boat. I think the Mythos stuff, it's relatively new, mate. I don't think there's not a whole lot available for it just yet. It's like I don't even think the game's officially released properly yet. Storky's Man Cave says, still see the primer when I look through a lens. Still see the primer. What was that to do with, mate? Ah, was that something else? Was that to do with the bad? Oh, I've got no idea, mate. Apologise if I've missed something in the comment there. Lee saying he ordered some extra Basilean bits off eBay to start his Vanguard warband. Haven't even read the rules yet. The rules are decent, mate, to be fair. VG saying, yeah, you can reverse Zenithal. There's a tutorial video on it by Sam Lems. Mr. Trainer Guy says, are they a 32mm heroic scale? They kind of. I mean, let me close that lid before I knock that one over as well. Let me get something just to compare them to size-wise. I'll tell you what, let's go for. If I go to a Marine in comparison, I mean, let me get one that's standing up so you can kind of compare them height-wise. If you think that's a Primaris Marine, and that's like a normal kind of human, I suppose, that gives you an idea of sizing of these things. So that doesn't really work when the camera's on an angle, does it? But that gives you an idea anyway. So right, we'll get cracking on now then, eh? William's saying there, reverse Zenithal works a bit for dust effects, like a dust caught in the recesses, more of a weathering than a lighting effect. Yeah, potentially, mate. I've never tried it, but like anything, what's the worst that can happen, eh? It's worth giving stuff a try. Right, we'll crack on with the painting now, folks. So we'll see how that goes. So today was quite an important day for me. Today was officially my first day as a self-employed person, because yesterday my contract ended with my old company. So for all I've been on a kind of like what they call gardening leave, which is essentially just paying you till the end of your contract, but you don't need to come to work kind of thing. Essentially, I was still kind of contracted to them and things, and technically they could have rescinded my redundancy as well if they decided to change their mind at the last minute. So I always I've always been not wary, because it was a very, very sort of unlikely chance it was ever going to happen, but there was always a thought about my mind, like it wasn't until my contract was properly up and over that I was like finally kind of away from the old job, if you like. So yeah, today is a bit of a celebration day for me, really, because what it means now is I officially no longer work for another company. I now officially work for myself. I got a letter from Revenue and Customs people today, the tax people, to say that I am now officially set up as a business. So yeah, it's like a little mini celebration day today for me. Jonathan saying hello to Marco. Nice work painting Pantheon as well. Yeah, nice to see you, Marco. How you doing, mate? VG says congrats on ridding yourself of the ball and chain, mate. Yes, I have. I've escaped the corporate culture of the UK, and I'm now a sole trader business owner. And that feels kind of weird to say that. I've been employed by a company, and I've worked pretty much every day. Like obviously, like, other than the holidays, I've never had any time off, like between jobs or anything like that. So I've worked full on for, oh wow, since I must have been 17, 18, I think. I was at college for a bit before that. So yeah, timing wise, it's been quite some time. So yeah, I'm officially broken free of the chains, as you say. Lee says redundancy payout means drinks are on you, then right. Well, that's the other side of it. I don't officially get the payout until the middle of this month. My payday used to be the 15th of each month, so officially I don't get any redundancy payout until the 15th of this month. So, and then that's essentially what I have to live off until I can make this BlackJack legacy kind of pay for itself. But it gives me a bit of breathing space alongside with when I'd saved up some money to kind of leave my old job. It gives me some breathing space to make sure I put my effort into this and that it all pans out. So that'll be kind of subsidising the business in the early days. And then if that runs low and this is not taking off, then I basically then I go out and get another job. But yeah, I'm obviously hoping that's not the case. So let's do a bit of this brown leather as well on his fingers of his gloves. VJ says, welcome to self-employment. It's hard but satisfying graft. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I'm having to kind of much like when I first started with the YouTube channel and I was kind of learning how to edit videos and how to light videos. Let's get it in more simple. And kind of like learning how YouTube worked and all that kind of stuff. Much as I was learning that, there's a whole new learning curve now with kind of running a business really, because now I've got to learn about tax returns and I've got to learn about sort of how everything works with that. So yeah, it's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to. I guess you could say I am now officially a YouTuber if somebody asks me what my job is. Up until yesterday, I was still employed by a company, so that's kind of weird. Right, so that's the brown leather done for that. I'll let that dry a little bit, and I'll go back, and I think we'll do the main coat. So we'll go with we're going with a Blood Angels red for that one. Boots on the table says congrats, Henry. Good evening, Henry. He says congrats as well. Tim saying congrats there too. Just Kev says good luck on your venture, mate. Congratulations. Yeah, it feels kind of weird because I've kind of because obviously I've not really had to go and do a day's work. Well, I have, but you know what I mean. I've not had to go late into an office or kind of answer any calls or emails and stuff for quite some time now while I've been on leave. It hasn't really quite kind of sunk in properly yet, but my company car has to go back in the next couple of days. So when they come and collect that, I think that's when it might actually sink in properly. Although I can't drive it now, I'm not insured to drive it anymore. I just have to sit on outside my garage basically. So yeah. Starkey saying, how's the contrast on the darker part of the Zenithal priming? I tell you what, mate. Well, I'll show you now because we're going to do this. So we're going to do this cape. So we're going to come in and do this red here. I might, at the minute, I think I'll leave the base of his cape and decide what I want to do with that later. What I tend to find is with the GW contrast primer stuff, I tend to find it gives you really, really bright colours. And I'm not always a big fan of those bright colours. But what I've found is with the Zenithal priming, first of all, through an airbrush, it puts it on nice and thin and nice and smooth, so you don't get any kind of gritty bits that you do maybe with some sort of heavier spray cans. Although I have painted over normal spray cans as well, and it's been fine. But a little tip that I kind of learned as well that somebody told me about was if you use a gloss coat, be that matte or a varnish, sorry, if you use varnish, be that gloss or matte over the top of your primer, it really helps the contrast paints to flow as well. So that's a little tip you can use if you're using spray cans or anything like that as well. But yeah, I mean, I'll do inside the coat as well. Oh, this little lid keeps closing. Let me just prop that open a bit better. So you can see, let me try and get it. You can see it's quite dark inside there. We'll just run the red over the top of it. So essentially what it's doing is I don't know if you can be able to see that. You can just see it. So it's very obviously in my eyes here that I can see. I don't think the camera's picking it up too well. But it is red. It's just a very dark red, which is essentially what you want really because it's in the shadow. So You might be able to see that. It might be too dark, I think, on camera. Obviously, in my room, I can see it's. But that's what I mean about the red on there. It tends to be a bit more sort of desaturated, which because contrast paints have quite a high kind of pigmentation to them, which is great for painting because it's not like I've got, like where I'm finding it's kind of speeding up is the fact I haven't got to do like 2 and 3 coats of each thing. How am I going to do this? Let's do his sleeve as well. But yeah, I'm enjoying using the contrast paints. I don't know if you can see there how it's a bit brighter there on the top versus kind of where it is. What we just got there. William Jones pledged £20 or $20, was it? Wow, William, thank you very much, my friend. That's awesome, mate. Yeah, from a Patreon point of view, I should just kind of touch on that now. That was Patreon there from William. Essentially, basically my business now, like this whole YouTube thing and stuff, is all funded by the community in many different ways, and I'll explain that, what I mean by that. And it keeps me completely independent. I'm not doing any paid reviews. People are not paying me for my opinions and stuff, as I've mentioned before. If you are interested in joining the Patreon, you can join from $2 a month. $2 a month gets you access to a private Discord server where all the other Patreons are in there as well. And we're up to like 90. I think it was meant to be, that should have been my 100th Patreon. No, because you're already a Patreon member. I was at 99 this morning. But then as soon as they start taking payments today, because obviously the 1st of July, they start taking Patreon payments out of people's bank accounts. There's been a couple have declined at the minute, and that's normal. It sometimes means somebody needs to update their payment details because they've got a new card or something, or it might be there's been a bit of a glitch and they retry it. But then as soon as it says that it's been declined, it basically drops the Patreon number down. So I think I'm at like 96, 97 now. But yeah, we're getting close to 100 Patreons. So yeah, Patreon's how I kind of fund this, and then things like if you shop currently with Element Games, but soon with Goblin Gaming, I get a small commission if you click through my link. If you shop on Amazon and you click through my link, if you buy a T-shirt from me, if you kind of donate on the live stream or anything like that, essentially that's all the things that kind of come together. And that's all the things that come together basically to help me fund what I do. Things like ad revenue from YouTube as well. I mean, it's not a huge amount, but all these things add up. And for all it is still early days, when I announced I was going full time to do this, the support from the community was unbelievable, and I'm probably kind of ahead of where I thought I would be at this stage, and it's continuing to grow. So like the Patreon numbers have gone up and the pledge levels have gone up every month for the last 3 months, which is more than I could have hoped for, really. So yeah, I'm really happy with how it's going. So yeah, if it keeps going the way it's going at the minute, I'll have absolutely no problems in keeping this going as a business, because as I've mentioned many times, I'm not looking to try and get rich out of this. You know what I mean? Like it might sound a little bit kind of a little bit flippant to say it, but I don't need a big wage out of this. Like my outgoings are pretty small. My wife has a good job as well. I need to basically, I need to fund the difference between kind of what we need to pay the bills and what my wife earns, kind of thing. So that's all. I don't need to be making like sort of £2,000 or £3,000 a month type thing. So yeah. So far so good. So I appreciate that. I appreciate that pledge. William Jones, thank you very much, sir. Really nice. Where are we at? Oh, must have just chopped off the top of my chat a little bit there. BJ says, been here for 20 years, it can be scary, but nothing is as fulfilling. To be honest, I mean, what was scary was having to get up and go to a job that I absolutely detested, mate. It was as I talked about on the mental health thing on Monday. It was a big part of the issues that I had, and actually getting out of that and finding a path out of that has been hugely beneficial for me personally. but what was I even going to say? Yeah, just like the fact I've not gone into this kind of like, it's not just kind of some kind of pipe dream where I've just thought, oh, I'm just going to quit my job and kind of give it a go and see what happens. Like I've literally gone through it with a fine-tooth comb and looked at how much money I need to earn and how much what's my potential income from like YouTube stuff and from Patreon, and kind of set out a bit of a business plan. And then obviously that was why I started saving up to get that financial buffer to buy me some space, so that because I knew I'm never going to kind of earn enough money from day one doing this, but the plans I've put in place they're on track, and if anything, potentially a little bit ahead of where I thought I'd be. And then obviously getting made redundant rather than quitting my job has given me a little bit more of a financial buffer just to give me the time to really get stuck in and give this a real chance to progress without worrying about the money side of it. But I'm sorry, I'm kind of like talking about Patreon. I'm pushing it. If I don't advertise it and if I don't explain how it works, then basically I can't make it work long term. So that's why I'm kind of explaining that. Anyway, yeah, to get back to the main point. Today is an important day for me. It's the first day of my official business, I suppose. So yeah, so there's the contrast paints fork. That's the red on there. I'll let that dry for a little bit. I think what I'll do is while that's drying, rather than mess it up, I'll just start on another model. Mark Wright says, all the best in your new venture, Andy. Thank you very much, Mark. It feels pretty nice, I'll be honest. It feels pretty nice. Lizzie says, even though also painting some Wild West Exodus and Dread all tonight. Nice one, mate. Nice one. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll do one of these little canine dogs so I can show you exactly what I did before. So I use contrast Griff Charger Grey. So we'll give that a bit of a mix up. Jesters 3D Tabletop Gaming. Hello, Jesters. Just saying they haven't tried any of the contrast paints yet. Yeah, I'm using pretty much just contrast paints tonight. And what I'm trying to do to show people as well is that actually it's not like you don't necessarily have to use them exclusively and nothing else. And also they're just they're a tool in the job. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover this entire model in this. So you can kind of see what what I tend to find is if you pull it around in one direction, you tend not to kind of go over the brush stroke so much, and it just pools and you're basically just running it down. So we're gonna just do that over the entire model of this one. You can see again it's been Zenithal primed as well. So Timbo says, don't worry, Andy, when I win the Euro Millions, I'll donate you a couple of quid. Thank you very much, mate. Your patronage at the minute, mate, is more than enough, mate. If you win the Euro Millions, you enjoy yourself, mate. But yeah, I do appreciate everybody that that kind of is kind of bought into the ethos of what I'm trying to do, really. Essentially, like, I want this to become this is primarily a community for people to kind of come together. Like I make the content basically to keep that community keep coming back, to give us like things to talk about, to give you my honest opinion of what I think about things. My eyesight's terrible. Philip Tolhurst, thank you very much for pledging there, sir. That is very, very kind of you. I think that if the other Patreons, if the decline stuff this month goes through, I think you might just have been my 100th Patreon, mate. So thank you very, very much. But yeah, if you look on the Patreon page, you'll see that basically it doesn't show 100 at the moment. Thank you. But yeah, I see this as like a kind of like a community thing, and I can commit the time now, which I never used to have before. I can commit the time to sort of managing all of that kind of stuff, making the content, doing the live streams to get everybody together, running the painting challenges, running the competitions, visiting events to come and see people, playing in events, going to see companies, finding out about the latest games. It's just almost like the Beasts of War channel was a bit of a kind of an inspiration for me when I first started in YouTube, and over time it's become a bit less so. Like the the bulk of their kind of stuff they do is a bit more of a preview of people's games now, a little bit more like advertising. However, the reason I was talking about this was their Saturday morning shows are I'm a big fan of their Saturday morning kind of weekenders, or Friday nights, I think they come out now. I'm a big fan of their weekender show. And that is a kind of, to me, that feels like a real kind of community sort of video, if you like, where they're talking about what's happening in their community and in their forums. They're talking about some smaller companies that don't always get a bit of love. Like they focus on an independent company each week rather. That's really what I kind of see this channel and this community being like. Whilst I will still talk about companies like GW and the bigger games, like I'm not going to just focus on 40k, because if I was doing this purely just to get views and subscribers, the only way a channel grows basically is by concentrating on GW and 40k, because it's where all of the eyes are. But there's plenty of people doing that. Like, I'm sure what one of the reasons you come here is because we don't just talk about the main game. We talk about GW because they're huge and they're a big part of the hobby, but we talk about things like Wild West Exodus. We talk about Kings of War. We talk about kind of like Dreadball and like all the other games basically that don't always get to see the light of day on other channels. And I know why other channels don't do them, because the views don't justify it basically. But I'm not doing this for views. I'm doing this to feed a community, if you like. And if that community can support me to do it, then you've got somewhere else on the internet basically to come and view some content that's not mainstream, if you like. And as I get more and more stuff painted, because like I said before, the redundancy thing kind of caught me off guard a bit. I was expecting to leave my job in September, so I was a bit behind where I wanted to be when I eventually kind of got the notice I was leaving. And then coronavirus and the lockdown came in and put paid to a lot of the things that I wanted to do early on in the new business venture, if you like. So like what you're seeing at the minute is the tip of the iceberg of what I have plans for. So yeah, I appreciate the folks that's already kind of support me on that journey, and it's you lot kind of give me the confidence to know that, like, actually this is worth taking a chance on. Like the worst thing I could do was always just regret that I never give it a go. And massive amount of support from my wife has given me the ability to do that. So yeah, thanks folks. Lee saying there, of course, congrats and best luck for the channel. Thanks, mate. Flying Mammal's in. Good evening, Flying Mammal. How are you doing? Nice to see you in again. VG says, when you hit the big time of YouTubers, don't forget us, Andy. I honestly can never see me like hitting the big time. I'm not going to be a channel, I don't think, that gets kind of like, I don't think I'll ever get one of those kind of silver play buttons, gets 100,000 subscribers kind of thing. I don't think that's ever where I'll end up, because I just don't cover the mainstream popular stuff enough. So for example, when I covered Warcry, I got a big boost in subscribers, and the same thing happened when I covered Shadespire as well. But then what happens is, majority of those people that come for that content realize I don't exclusively do that, and they drift away, and they don't come and watch something about Infinity, for example, or they don't come and see me paint Wild West Exodus, for example, and they don't take part in the painting challenges when it's a Mantic game. So it doesn't, like, I get little boosts and things, but it, like, I'm getting more views each month now than I've ever got before, but my subscriber numbers are awful, basically. Like, I'm getting less than 200 subscribers a month, but my views are up, my Patreon's up, my watch time is through the roof. Like, so for example, in order to get monetized on YouTube, you need 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time in a 12-month period. And at the minute, I'm getting 5,000 hours of watch time in a 30-day period. So the watch time, the amount of time the people that watch the channel watch it for a long period of time, and that's the encouraging bit for me. The fact that the subscriber numbers are low, it doesn't change how much I get paid. It doesn't change how much I want to do this. And that's kind of that's the beauty of the kind of the business model that I've got. It's not based upon getting subscribers and just covering the kind of the popular stuff. It's about covering the stuff that interests me. So yeah, that's what I've kind of done with this, folks. I've just So that's just that grey contrast paint over the top of it. What I'll do now is actually, I'm not even going to let that dry. I'm just going to crack on and show you. Where are we up to? Jacob saying, congrats on being your own boss. Thank you very much, Jacob. William Jones says, it's turned to be a good year, and that rolls you over 500. It was a 495. Was it, mate? Thank you very much. Jester says, definitely going to have to pick some up. Yeah, it's worth a try, mate. I tell you what I found is, they're not cheap, but once I got more than 2 or 3 colours, like I found I used them more, because I used them just like normal paints, like, oh, I need a red, I need a green, I need a blue, whatever. When I first started, I was just picking up, oh, I need one colour for a particular job kind of thing, for a particular paint scheme. And so what was happening was I wasn't really using it. So I would definitely consider picking up some of the kind of, even if, like, I'm not suggesting you get the full range necessarily, but yeah, just pick up some of the colours you think you'll get a lot of use out of. So there's kind of a couple of like, almost like shields, armour plates, just down the front of this. Now the thing with the contrast paints is you do still have to be very neat with them. It's not a case of just like slapping it on, if you like. And I've probably done this the wrong way around. I would suggest you kind of start, actually you probably do it either way, but if you start with the darker colours, you tend, like, at least when you come in with the lighter colours, if you touch on the bits you've already painted, it doesn't make much difference, because you can't like go back and tidy these things up easily. Where if you start with the lighter colours, like if I touch on any of this grey stuff here with the red, I'm pretty screwed really, because then it's red. Like I can't go back and touch over the top of it with the grey contrast paint, if you like. So you do have to still be quite neat with it. However, as you can see, I mean, as this red's going on, because it's the contrast stuff, it's quite thin. So it's not like I'm putting on a really thick coat to get it covered, but one coat is doing it, and it's running into the recesses. It's giving me a nice kind of smooth finish to it. It's just, I mean, the Blood Angels red is really, really nice. It's really, really saturated. But like I say, you do have to be quite neat all the same. So it's not a case of just slapping it on necessarily, unless you're doing the whole mini like I did before. But yeah, just take your time with it, and I think it's a really good kind of tool in the box, if you like. Trying to make sure I'm getting it on camera at the same time here. I'm trying a slightly different painting position tonight, which feels a bit more comfy for me actually. And by kind of like locking my wrists into place here, hopefully I'm not moving it off screen too often. So we'll see how that goes though. So yeah, I'll just paint those 2 at the front there. I'll also, I probably shouldn't have painted those yet, because I want to dry brush it silver. That's okay. We'll just have to try and be a bit neater. I'll not paint that. Will I paint that back piece? Yeah, I'll paint that back piece. What's the worst that can happen? If you get some silver bits on it, it just looks like it's been scratched a bit. So yeah, we'll crack on with that one. Where else are we up to? Let me just warp it a little bit. BG says, have to admit, I probably would have left the arms off that mini and painted it in sub-assemblies. I hate not being able to reach the chest of a mini properly. The way I'm pretty neat, mate. I'm not too bad when it comes to kind of painting bits and pieces like that. And if I can't reach it properly with a brush, I tend to think that you're not going to be able to see it on the mini anyway. So I tend not to worry about stuff like that so much. I used to, but then what happens is, like, painting in sub-assemblies and stuff, like, I don't know how often these are going to get used, mate. Do you know what I mean? I don't know how often I'm going to use them. I'd already built them a while back as well. I think I built them for the review. So they were just built in bare plastic in the review, just so I could kind of show what the minis looked like. So that's probably why they were fully built. But I'll get into there. That's not too bad. That's not as bad as all that. I'll go in there with a brush, especially with the contrast paints and stuff anyway. So yeah, that's that one there. So we'll leave that one to dry. I think on this gun dog we'll put some gold on that one, but I think we don't need any. We'll probably do some red around the eyes and stuff, but otherwise it's pretty good. This bike, I think I'll come back to that bike once once I do it like in one piece, I think. Where are we at? John says, companies might not be paying for your opinion. I am though. I'm a Patreon to get your opinions. I appreciate that, mate. Yeah, and that's kind of how I see it, really. Andrew Fairbanks says, don't say funded from the community, say made possible by financial support, contributions from viewers like you. Yeah, I'm not a salesman, mate. So yeah, that's probably a much better way to put it, mate. I agree with that. Right, we're going to use a bit of a darker brown now. So this one is the Contrast Saigo brown. We're going to use this for kind of leather and stuff. Fiji saying, probably one of the reasons I hate painting Marines. Yeah, I've been painting the Marines. John Condon, thank you very much, John. Really appreciate that, buddy. He's just joined the Patreon as well. Thank you. It's been a good night for getting supporters into the Patreon tonight. Thank you very much. So yeah, we're going to put these. VJ saying, I think that's why he hates painting Marines. I think for the chest pieces and stuff, mate, isn't it? It's funny actually because I've just been painting a load of Marines. I'll show you them later on when I kind of leave these to dry later. And they were already built up as well. I did the same thing where they were from the Dark Imperium set. I couldn't wait to kind of get them on the table, and basically I built them up before I thought ahead, really. And especially when it's a big army, I don't really want to be painting kind of big armies in subsections and sub-assemblies. And I thought that was going to be a bit of a nightmare as well. But actually, with a steady hand and a decent brush, I think it's been fine, to be honest, mate. It's been absolutely fine, but you can judge for yourself, mate. I'll show you what they look like later on. So yeah, we'll just paint these bits of kind of leather straps across these legs here, which are basically just holding in his holsters, and got some straps here on his boots. We'll just paint across the back of those bits. Get into the corners there. I think we'll be giving him silver boots anyway, so it looks like he's got some kind of like armor. I don't know whether to put. I think I'll probably do silver rather than red. Red kind of like shin covers, if you like. Ortega says, hi all, can't stay long but want to say hi. We'll catch you on the catch up and paint some Wild West extras. Thank you, Ortega. Nice to see you just popping in. Thank you very much for your support. Yeah, that's when I was saying before, there's a lot of things I need to kind of learn. Learning to be a salesman, to be able to kind of sell my message, if you like, sell what I'm trying to do here. That's one of the things I do need to get better at. I'm a creator, both like as a content creator type thing, but like in my day job, previously I was kind of like designing things, and I kind of understand marketing, so I know how to market things. But yeah, I'm not too hot as a salesman. As it happens, my wife, that's her job. She works in sales, so maybe I need to get some tips from her. Let's paint the. Should I do with the stuff around these belt? I think we'll do the stuff around these belt a bit dark as well there as well. You might not be able to see that very well. I'll tell you what, if I've got a black card here and I've got a white one, tell me which one's better. Is it? I think that kind of blinds the screen a little bit. So tell me in the chat if you think the black or the white is better. I think the black's better for this. I could maybe do with like a grey card or something, I think, just for the background. Because I haven't quite settled on what works best on the live stream for painting yet. I always think that the black tends to be less distracting than a bright white. But I'll let you be the judge. You're the ones watching it, not me. So that's that bit. Peter Kuma says, still haven't tried contrast as well. The price keeps putting me off. Yeah, it's not cheap, mate. I'll be honest with you. It isn't cheap. But yeah, it's. I do think it's good. I'll be honest. I've kind of definitely kind of come around to what I think of it. I'm going to use a slightly different grey. This is a Space Wolves grey. Let me just do it. Camera, come on. This is a Space Wolves grey. I'm going to use that one for underneath the armour, just to make it slightly darker than the other stuff. VG saying, all good, mate, pushing Patreon. Every first of the month, I'm happy when I see the Patreon money come out of my account for the creators I support. Yeah, you support quite a few, mate, and honestly, it's massively appreciated by me, and I'm sure by the other creators as well. It's one of those things that, like, when I first kind of started going down this path, loads of people told me, "Oh, it'll never work. Live streams don't work. You'll not build kind of like a following doing live streams. People in the UK don't kind of, they won't pay to support people. All that kind of stuff." So I had all of those negative kind of opinions, if you like. But folks like you lot who come in here, I mean, not all of my viewers are from the UK, to be fair, which is one of the things that helps. And sort of it's folks like you and your comments and things that gave me that kind of that feeling that actually it could work. So yeah, I honestly do appreciate it. And I'm sorry if you feel I'm kind of going on about it a little much tonight. It's just that, yeah, like I say, it's kind of an important day. This really is officially now the first day of my new business. I've got no safety net anymore now, if you like. So yeah, it's kind of a big deal. VJ says, feels good to know I'm helping the community go in the right directions. Yeah, I that's kind of how I see it as well, mate. It's supporting me, but it's supporting me to support the community, if you like. So yeah, I appreciate that as well. Krabby Vision's in. Nice to see you, fella. Just to say, definitely want to pick some up. Timbo Klaus is 96 on my page, nearly. Yeah, I think what it must be, I think I've got a few declined payments this month. So people, I'm sure they'll get the email to say pop in and check your payment details and stuff, and that's what's dropped it down. Because I think I was on 96 the other day, and I've had a good influx of Patreons. So. Especially tonight, but I had another couple the other day as well. So, BJ saying, looking at Wild West Exodus minis to see if anything interests them. Yeah, sometimes there's sorry, I was reading Dirk's comment there. Yeah, sometimes there's a good mix of stuff in Wild West Exodus, to be honest. But yeah, not everything's for everybody though. So. I'm not sure if there'll be something for you, mate, but I'm sure there'll be something you wouldn't mind wanting to take a brush to and paint and stuff. Dirk's saying a little bit more advertising. That's now it's an understatement. Yeah, that's kind of how I see it, mate. Like I say, like years ago, it felt like it was a lot more community focused to me personally. And we're talking about kind of Beasts of War. And I'm sure they still are, but the difference is they're a business. Like, I'm not giving the guys a hard time. They've done an absolutely fantastic job of building up a business in a tabletop hobby, and they were probably one of the first channels, if you like, that were able to do that. So yeah, they're not going to get any grief from me for kind of like for having their business model and for making it work. But yeah, it's kind of it's moved away from what I think it used to be, or the bit that kind of that interested me, if you like, the bit that I was inspired by. Where are we at? Whoops. Where are we up to? Wow, there's a lot of chat. Philip says, "Damn it, wanted to be the 100th. What's the $1 a month if I use you to entertain me? I also want the little comments." Give you a game or something. Whereabouts are you from, Phil? Tell me whereabouts you are. I mean, once we can kind of get back to some kind of normal, like I'm planning on kind of getting out and about as well and traveling around and seeing different game stores and visiting different companies, and if that means I can kind of meet up for a coffee with a few folks or something as well, so much the better. So yeah, let me know whereabouts you are, mate, and hopefully we can cross paths at some point. Yeah, Phil saying $5. Thanks, mate. JVC, nice to see you in again. Says, what's up, chat? Nice to see you, sir. Lee Russ says, talking about variety of games companies is one of the best things about your channel, mate. It's a refreshing change. Variety is a spice of life. To be honest, mate, Sorry, I was reading another comment there. To be honest, I'm a bit of a kind of a magpie gamer, basically. I kind of move around. I like to play lots of different things. So if I was doing this just to try and like, sort of just to mine the views, if you like, and just cover one really popular game like 40k, I think I'd have stopped doing YouTube a long time ago. It'll be 4 years this year I've been doing this. And I don't think, off the top of my head, other than when even when I've been on holiday, I don't think I've missed like a week. I think I've always had at least a video every week, which is a bit of an achievement really in itself. So especially when I'm doing it on my Todd, it's not like I'm relying on, like a lot of channels have maybe 2 people doing them and stuff. So I think it's a bit, I'm quite kind of proud that I've stuck at it really, and I think it was one of the reasons that my wife was kind of really happy to support me and kind of making the dream come true really, because she knows how much I enjoy doing it. And she knows that I'm like committed to it. Sorry, I'm just doing one of those moments that's really kind of fiddly to get in behind his hat there, but I need to get a little bit of red in there. That's it. Cool. Yeah, thanks, Lee. It's one of the things I love about your podcast, mate, is the fact that you guys obviously play a lot of different board games. You've got your different role play stuff you do. You used to have your Infinity chat, your Star Wars Legion chat, and bits and pieces you've been playing. Bit of Bushido, I think, recently as well. It's cropped up. That's one of the things I love about your podcast. So, yeah, if folks haven't checked it out, please do check out Average Gamer Podcast. Really, really good. Definitely, it's on my podcast feed every month. So yeah, that's to be honest, that's 90% of the work done there. We need to put a little bit of highlighting on the face. We do a bit of silver dry brushing and stuff. We'll do a little bit of red dry brushing, but most of them are all done. You can kind of see there where so you can see where I've gone onto the kind of the butt of the gun with a little bit of red. I think what I'll do is I'll probably change the colour of that a little bit, but that'll do that. So let's get this one zoomed in now. What we're going to do with this, since this contrast paint's dry now, we'll get the gold out. If I can find out where I've put it. So for this, I'm not going to use contrast for this, but I'm just going to use Balthazar Gold. Marco says, how's the reading of those rule sets going? The miniature agnostic ones. It's quite heavy going, if I'm honest, mate. Because the problem is with games that I don't know a lot about, and they tend to be games that like sort of be obviously they've got no minis attached to them, so there's very little information online about them and things. Very rarely can you see kind of sort of gameplay footage of them. Sometimes the rules take a little bit to sink in, but I'm reading over them, mate. There's some interesting ones, and yeah, it should be coming. It should be coming soon. I'm trying to put as much kind of background reading into them really to make it a decent video, because I know for a fact if I just do it about one particular game that has no minis, if you like, it's not and no disrespect to the people that write them rule sets, I'm sure that they would agree, it's not really a big enough call to kind of to come and watch it, if you like. Where if I talk about 4 or 5 of those rule sets together, those companies who've kind of very kindly sent me some of the stuff as well, like the free, like the rules that they've sent me, and the ones that are already free online, those companies will get more exposure and get more benefit from me talking about multiple games. So I'm trying to kind of, it's taking quite a bit of prep really, and especially when I'm not really getting the opportunity to play those games through lack of an opponent at the minute. Yeah, it's just going a bit slow, mate, but I'll get there. It's on the list. It's on the to-do list along with a million other things. Starty says, will you do a novelty Christmas song if you make the big time? I tell you what, mate, if I ever got to 100,000 subscribers, which I know I potentially probably would never happen, if I do, mate, I'll do a Christmas song just for you. You do not want to hear me singing though, that's for sure. Mr. Trainer Guy says, variety is good, but should do what you enjoy as well. I know I always enjoy it if I can watch live and check out the stream later on, especially when painting or preparing models. Yeah, to be honest, mate, I think I might have said this before I got to your comment there. I only ever cover the things I'm interested in, and that's, I'm sure you'll be able to tell. You'll be able to tell if I wasn't like enjoying what I was doing, if you like. And it's one of the reasons I kind of I jump around between different topics, and I like to paint different things. It just keeps it interesting, and it's one of the reasons why I'm still doing this all that time later, if you like. Let's give them a little bit of. We'll give them a little bit of. Well, do I do that bit red? No, I think that might overdo it if I do it red. I was going to do maybe some red down the chest piece here. We'll do a bit of gold instead. And a little bit of gold on the top there. Andrew says, of course, everyone will tell you to try and earn money entirely from YouTube. It is impossible and a path to failure. I think it's possible, mate, but it's only possible if you're covering very, very popular subjects. Like if you're into kind of like computer gaming and stuff like that, if you've made a channel at the right time and you're covering kind of video games and you're getting sponsors and you're getting sort of getting paid to advertise stuff, I think it's possible. But when it comes to miniature gaming, unless you've got a business selling, a bit like sort of like Luke's APS, unless you've got a business selling products and then you can use your channel as a marketing tool to advertise them alongside other stuff, then potentially you could make it, but you're not going to make it just from like ad revenue alone kind of thing. That's for sure. Timbo says it's easy viewing, listening. That's why I love it. Chuck it on, crack on painting other stuff, makes the time disappear. And before you know it, I've painted a mini. Good, mate. That's kind of like what I'm trying to aim at, really. That kind of community stuff. Lizzie says, I find contrast works great for Wild West Exodus due to the amount of fine detail. It's a really good shout, Lizzie, actually. There is a lot of detail. There is a lot of detail, and I think that really does help. Itinerant Hobbyist, hello. It says, that's a good angle and looking good. Thank you very much. I'm kind of playing with it. What I've done is I've moved, the camera's almost directly above my head, but it's angled forward now, so it's coming, so I'm coming like up. There you go, up towards it there. Yeah. What else we up to? Timbo saying, correcting highlighting mistakes on contrast to royal pain in the backside. Yeah, definitely, mate. VG said, I struggle, my OCD would flare up. You're a better man than me. Hello, Tony Howell. How are you doing, fella? You're never late, mate. You arrive precisely when you want to be. I'm going to catch up on some of the chat here because I am well behind. GVC paints, I never used scene contrast paints. Are they just pigment rich or thick? I don't know if you'll be able to see them on the camera, mate. They're a bit, essentially like a thick wash, basically. So you paint basically pretty much straight from the pot, if you like. See if I can just kind of show you. You can see how kind of runny they are. They're definitely more kind of, they're thinner than paints. They're more like a heavily pigmented wash type thing, but they do work really well. VG says, reaching the chest. Oh, yeah, I know what you mean, mate. Jamie Newton, nice to see you, fella. Mark was saying, love the hooray notification. There's meant to be like a little thing pops up as well, mate, but it's not working. I need to spend some time working out. There's meant to be a little picture pops up, which is why I hear the noise, so I have to look and see what it is. But that only happens when anybody joins the Patreon. Jonathan Whitebourne says, I thought we were cheering children in the background. No, that's what it is, mate. Crabby says, do you enjoy painting stuff you're not going to use? I don't imagine I would. Yes and no, mate. I mean, yes, I enjoy. Yes, I enjoy them. Sorry, I was reading there VG's comment. Yes, I enjoy painting any minis, really, to be honest. I mean, I have to like the mini, so otherwise I wouldn't be painting that. I could never do it like stuff. But to be fair, I'm painting these because I already have them. And actually, once I play through the game, you know, I might actually play it. Who knows? Like I might play it for quite some time. I might find it's the best game I've ever played. So I never go into painting things with the idea of, well, I'm never going to play them. Do you know what I mean? VG says, not running that Patreon audio alerts straight into OBS. We're only hearing them on your room mic. I think you're actually hearing them. They should be coming through. If they're coming through on mine, they should be coming through on yours through the alert box, to be fair. So I've no idea why, unless you're hearing them twice. Yeah, you're hearing them slightly delayed. But yeah, they should be coming through, mate. I've got them coming through on the monitor. Otherwise, I don't, because the animation thing doesn't seem to be working. I don't see it. So, where are we up to? Tony says, If you're more into nice minis than gaming, these Wild West Exodus minis are a beautiful and refreshing change of genre. I can't comment on the rules though. The rules I'll chat about in a bit later. Actually, I've been quite impressed with them when I've read them. Peter saying black's better. Right, we're up to that bit now. Yes, thank you. GVC says they're both okay on an iPad. I can imagine needing sunglasses on a PC monitor with the white though. Yeah, and I think that's kind of how it looks to me. I think the problem is I've got cheap PC monitors here. They're not kind of color corrected or anything like that. So what I'm seeing on my monitor is, and I've got bright lights in my eyes and stuff, it won't necessarily be what you're seeing. That's why it's kind of worth checking and stuff. Mark says, where did you get your painting handle from, Andy? This one is the Red Grass Games one. Let me just go. This is the Red Grass Games handle. So basically you can kind of hold it and you can spin it around. I've backed the more recent one as well, which has detachable heads. So you get like a number of these heads and they basically come off. So you can have all your minis lined up and just keep replacing the head and stuff. But they're not very expensive. They're kind of, but yeah, Red Grass Games, check them out. I would definitely recommend those handles. Let's see where we're up to here. Where was that comment bit? I'll just have to dive in here. Oh, that was the painting handle. We're up to that bit. Blah, blah, blah. William Jones, guys, try acrylic medium plus any other colour you want to get a glaze effect. Cost is about $10. I wouldn't say this is not necessarily a glaze effect. This is slightly different. I would say, but yeah, in the same way, I used to quite often paint. So all of my, let me show one of these ones actually. If you've seen the video that I did for how to paint Poxwalkers, I did these Poxwalkers. I think I primed them white. And then basically went over them with washes. So these are all washes: the trousers, the skin tone, the kind of the boils and stuff on the back. Let me just kind of zoom into that a little bit there. That's all just using washes. And I used to kind of do quite a bit of stuff like that in the past. But yeah, that's all using washes. I've got a video basically on how I did these. So if anybody is interested in kind of just using the GW washes to paint minis, this is exactly how I did these guys. So yeah, that's another way. They tend to be quite thin and good for kind of pale colours. Where what I find with the contrast stuff, they're really good for much more kind of highly pigmented colours. So I've popped the gold onto that one there now. I'm going to now take, which is this Necron Compound Dry, and we'll use, I've got these dry brushes as well that I use. These are the Artist Opus Series D. This is a small one. I'll just take that. I'm literally just putting a little bit of it on the tip. Actually, I'll show you on the screen here as well. Just take the bulk of it off. Oops, do it on the screen. Take the bulk of it off, and then just get a bit close there, and then just very lightly, just kind of dry brush across it. And what it's doing is it's just picking up on the raised edges. So it's using that grey contrast to kind of give you the colouring without it looking completely just like a metal paint, if you like. And this is just picking up on the edges to give you almost that really high shine, which is what makes it actually strangely looks more metallic by having less make sort of silver paint on it, if you like. Just a bit more. Let's get back on the screen there. You might be able to see here, so how that gold's actually particularly pretty shiny. It just kind of takes the shiny edge off it with the silver over the gold. Because even gold would kind of be really so shiny on the edges, it would be more kind of white or more silver. So I always kind of dry brush over the gold with a really nice bright silver. I find that Necron Compound silver is really good for highlight. But yeah, so that's that's essentially pretty much done. I'm going to paint some red on the eyes. We'll do the basing later on as well. But that's really all I need to do for that. And I'm happy with how that's turned out. So just a bit more silver on there. Done, as they say. We'll get the gun dog. Is this one dry as well? Yeah, that one's dry, so we'll do the same with that one. I'm actually going to get a bit of a bigger dry brush for this one. So this one is the, that one's the larger one. Actually, no, I'm not going to use that large one because I'm trying not to get it on the red. So let's just, where are we up to? Philip said he supports me and the Melatonin are both well worth the money. Thank you, mate. That's really nice to hear. Appreciate that, thanks. But you said, I checked out Beast when I first got back into the hobby. Never really connected for me. Prefer the personal touch and direct contact with the creators. I mean, to be fair to the guys, when they first started out, obviously they weren't as big as they are now. They have like staff working for them. They're a proper business, do you know what I mean? They run a shop. They've got a gaming centre where people can kind of come and play. They're kind of doing media things for gaming events. Like, I think like the UK Games Expo, they're always kind of like the official media partner, if you like. So they're doing stuff like that. They obviously get paid for the videos that they do as well by the companies that want to feature their products. When you get to a certain size and you essentially within the UK, they're pretty much the biggest when it comes to kind of pure tabletop wargaming that are not necessarily kind of GW focused, if you like. Then it's kind of like a common thing that if you've got a game and you want to get it in front of people's eyes, Beasts of War used to be the place that you went, kind of thing. Now, what I would say is that I don't think the views that they necessarily get reflect the subscribers that they've got. They've obviously got quite a lot of subscribers that don't watch a lot of the content, and a lot of their content originally used to be it was really 40k focused when I first started watching them. It was very heavily GW stuff, and I think they went through a few problems with GW, where essentially they're almost like, it was a bit of a cease and desist type thing, like stop for whatever reason, like back in the day. So yeah, so I think at that point, then they started moving away from doing so much of the GW stuff, and that was when they started branching out into other games. But yeah, they've built up a business out of it, and I think that's why they're less. They're just too big, if you like, I guess, to be less personal, if you like. I mean, I'm sure people still feel like they've got some connection, but I think the other side of it as well is I find that I can be a lot closer with the community and the people watching and the people viewing the live streams and stuff because I'm on my own. So I'm having a conversation with you. If there's a couple of people on the chat chatting to each other, like I feel that sometimes I end up ignoring the chat because I'm having a conversation with the person I'm on camera with, if that makes sense. So I think being on my own, I think Mel probably has the same thing. I think it gives you a bit of it gives you the ability to interact, I think, with the community when you do it on your own. Tony Howell says, BlackJack Legacy, happy birthday. It'd be lovely if we could celebrate your birthday annually. Yeah, it's not my birthday technically. It's the birthday, I suppose, of my business. So yeah, maybe next year we'll be able to have a party. VJ says, oh, so he said that. Yeah, Peter says, honestly, the Wild West Exodus stuff leaves me completely cold, but most Wild West stuff does, so that's probably normal. I once bought a 172 box of Cowboys to mess about with, but just didn't start. I actually quite like the Wild West theme personally. I know VJ is saying he's not keen on it either. But what I would say about Wild West Exodus is it's not just Wild West. There's some interesting stuff in there as well, from like other kind of factions that you wouldn't necessarily think of as Wild West. The background lore to Wild West Exodus is actually fantastic. If you know Doug from 2 Plus Tough, he's done some lore videos on Wild West Exodus. I don't know how long ago he did them, but if you're ever interested in kind of finding out a kind of bite size, put them on in the background, hear a bit more about how it actually, what's the world kind of about, if you like, of Wild West Exodus. You could do a lot worse than to listen to that. Cool. That's those. Right. Let's I'll just clean that dry brush off with a bit of soap as well while I'm catching up on the chat. Robert Zunkson as well, nice to see you, mate. How you doing? Phil says, I'm way down in Medway in Kent, but happy to travel because I have a car. Nice one, mate. I will have a car, so to be fair, once my company car goes back, like I can still drive my wife's company car as well on her insurance, so it's not like I'm going to be stuck at home kind of thing. Like when lockdown ends a bit more officially, I'll still be able to get out and visit and stuff like that. So yeah, we'll have to kind of, when things get better, mate, we should try and get a bit of a meet-up day as well, get a few folks together, try and meet somewhere middle of the country or something like that. Even if it's somewhere like Warhammer World where we can sit and have a drink and a bite to eat in the bar. Robert Zunk, nice to see you, mate. Let's catch up a little bit with a chat here. Phil says, I can play Wild West Exodus, X-Wing, Bolt Action, Conflict 47, 40k to name some games. Probably going to look at Battletech. Battletech's not something I even know like much about. I keep hearing it talked about on these live streams, but yeah. Marcus says, you're focusing on a specific setting, rules for fantasy, sci-fi, apocalyptic. To be honest, mate, I'm not. So things like Rangers of Shadow Deep, I've got the rules for that to look into. I've got the rules for a game called Brutality, which is kind of can be used for in any setting. I've got the Zone Alpha rules. There's a few different bits and pieces. Somebody sent me something for a company called, is it one page war games or something like that? I forget the name now, but there's a few kind of different people have been in touch kind of to try and to see if I'm interested in them. So yeah, we'll let's see where we get to with it, mate, to be fair. So it's a bit open really of a few different things. VGC, I do that Mr. E is Gorilla. Yeah, that's the new one, mate, isn't it? David Denny says, honestly, your channel has got me browsing around, especially for nice looking minis. I found the board game Nemesis on Kickstarter and I'm ultra excited for the minis. They're super detailed. I'm glad it's kind of just opening your eyes a little bit and kind of looking around. Robert says he's doing well. He's found a Tamiya model kit pretty cheap. He's getting ready to paint that. Nice one, mate. William Jones says 100k subscribers potentially could happen too. I don't even want to kind of think about it, mate, if I'm honest. If it happens, it happens, but it feels like it's kind of unlikely, but we'll see. We'll see. Like I said before, I'm not really in this to get lots of subscribers. Like if I can make enough money to make this work financially, I'm quite happy to have like a lot less subscribers. I feel like subscriber numbers are a bit of a vanity thing. Like it's almost a kind of like, oh, how many subscribers have you got? And it's about if you're wanting to use your channel to advertise, you need subscriber numbers and you need viewing numbers. Otherwise, why would anybody pay you, basically? But yeah, I find that's all kind of. I used to obsess about that kind of stuff, where now it's just the numbers are the numbers. If I pass like a milestone, like when I passed 8,000 subscribers, it's quite nice to kind of celebrate those little milestones. But yeah, it just feels like a bit of a vanity thing, really, as opposed to actually of any use to me as a business now. Jonathan saying Christmas single for the dance. Skull Munch, nice to see you, mate. How are you doing? Not spoken in a little while. He says, even though just putting together some AOS scenery from the Mortal Realms mag. Nice. Just to saying tabletop gaming for the win. Yes. David Delaney says, I mean, if your singing is as good as your dancing, I'm excited. My singing is worse than my dancing, mate. VJ says, I can see Wild West Exodus branching out with Lost World Exodus stuff. If they go down that route. Yeah, I think they're starting to kind of to branch out, mate, a bit as well. So I don't know much about Lost World Exodus, if I'm honest. So we'll find out more about that. James On's just pledged, not pledged, sorry, he's just donated as well. Says, back at work, full hours, means I don't get to see much of the chat live. Hope you're doing well, Andy. Thank you very much, mate. I've no idea why it hasn't popped up on the screen yet. But yeah, I want to say thank you. That's why it hasn't. It's just running a bit behind tonight. Thank you very much, mate. I really appreciate that. Boots on the table says, I swear by contrast paint. Oop, I just jumped there. Yeah. There we're going. Yes, that's where we're up to. Where was it? Branching out. That's what we were just talking about. Yeah. But JVC says the Beast's Metal Christmas song is a great laugh. I don't think I've heard that, mate. Tony says, if you can afford to, please become a Patreon. Thank you very much, mate. Yeah. Have chat like this at 24/7. Essentially, that's what the Patreon Discord server kind of is. It's a lot of the folks that's in here tonight. People like Tony, people like VJ. Like there's a lot of others that are around. Just kind of hanging out and just having a natter and sharing what they're up to and sharing the latest games that they've seen online, a little bit of rumours that are flying about new stuff. That's kind of all it is, really. It's like the chat that you would have down your local gaming group or in your pub with your geeky mates kind of thing. That's the vibe of it anyway. Gene said, I think you're selling a lot of those games short, Andy. A lot of the miniature agnostic systems actually rely on quality material rather than hiding behind flashy models. No, I'm not selling them short, mate. I'm not saying that they're poor games. I'm not saying anything bad against them. I'm just saying that learning games by reading the rules has never been one of my strong points, if you like. I'm much more kind of like give me a demo and I'm much easier getting into it, if you like. I did a video about it a while ago, basically, as well, and because they're kind of they don't get a lot of coverage. It's difficult to kind of to learn a lot about them. Some of them have kind of battle reports where other channels have done them, and I don't think I'm being unfair to say that it's very difficult to watch a battle report that's not really sort of that engaging, if you like, and I take my own stuff into that as well, to be fair. So it's not that there's anything wrong with the games. I'm just kind of struggling to pick them up just by reading the rules. And then I think if you then factor into the fact that there's no kind of miniature ranger, when I'm reading stats for something and I don't really know what that thing looks like, that's quite hard in my head to kind of match that up against something else. So I'm not kind of saying that there's anything wrong with the rules themselves. I'm not doing them down. I'm just saying that for me personally, it's not the easiest thing for me to kind of... I need to feel inspired. Otherwise, I just feel like I'm just reading anything, if you like. Where are we up to? Boots on the table saying swears by contrast paints, yeah. Colton Lane saying cool looking robotic dog. Yeah, it's not bad, is it, mate? They're not bad. Peter saying, I think the robot dog reminds me of the Cybermaster from GW's Rogue Trader range. But at 52mm scale, it's too big for 40k. This is probably about the right size then, mate, actually. Wasn't there a dog? Yeah, I think it was Rogue Trader. Wasn't it the Rogue Trader that came out quite recently? The Kill Team Rogue Trader. Wasn't there a dog in that? I'm just cleaning some of that off my dry brush so I don't get when I start doing the bases. Tim was saying Poxwalkers and other Horde type units lend themselves well to washes and contrasts. You don't really need to go mad on detail. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying as well about the Necrons, mate. I think it's another one of those things where I think you get away with basically kind of picking out a few details rather than really going to town on the entire model, if you like. VJ says, I'm not always a fan of Ash from Gorilla. He can be a sore loser and arrogant winner, but I have to say, I know he's done a Let's Play on just about every game that's around I can follow. He has done some on certain games, mate. I'll be honest, sometimes his speed of chatting about the stuff, I sometimes get a bit lost in. I'm not a big fan of that kind of Roman camera kind of moving around. And I'm not a big fan of watching battle reports in general, to be fair. So that's why I kind of struggle with those kind of things. Right, I just need to get a bit more orange, I think, on the tips of those. Let me see if I've got a small dry brush here. That one will do the job. Just need to get a little bit more contrast there, kind of going on the edge of these highlights. And just pick them out a bit. And we'll get them going. And I think that's call that pretty much pretty much done. I need to just, I will highlight a couple of, I wonder if I do something across there as well. I'm just kind of talking myself now, folks. Talk among yourselves. VGC, that's, sorry, JVC, so it's a nice dry brushing brush, great effect on the metal. Yeah, they're nice brushes, those, mate. They've just got nice kind of bristles, are nice and soft. They're not like a hard dry brush. VGC, I'm not always a fan. Oh yeah, we'll just talk about that one. Tony saying, as a metallics lover, I agree. High contrast and less is more on the sheen. Admittedly, I take things up a notch, but you're absolutely on the money. It's just kind of almost like less metal on it. It gives you the metallic shine, makes it look more metallic. I think it tends to work better for me personally. I think I've kind of gone a little bit of. I've picked up a little bit of the orange on the tops of the box thing there as well. I'll have to just give out a bit more silver, I think, but I think I do need to do. I need to do this bit with a brush, I think, rather than with a normal paint, rather than a contrast one, just because it needs to be a bit more detailed, I think. So we'll just go in with a bit of red, and I'm just going to give it a bit of a little bit on the top here, because it looks like there's a bit of a lens. Make it look a little bit like eyes, if you like. Just do that really gently there. I'll just clean that up a little bit, just off camera, because it's easier to do. That's it. And where Thomas Elder says, only problem with Ash from Gorilla is he talks so fast and mumbly, can be hard to understand what he's saying. And I appreciate I said that quite mumbly and fast as well. Yeah, when you're trying to learn a game, I completely agree. Sometimes it just needs to kind of slow down the pace a little bit and give you a bit more. But to be honest, I think for me, it's the sudden camera movement. I feel like I can't always kind of keep up with what he's referencing at the same time. Just put a little bit of a brighter red there, just to lighten that up a little bit. There's a little bit of flash on there, and then we'll brighten it up a little bit further again as well. VJ saying, yeah, I wish you would take a breath once in a blue moon. Yeah. Arnold says, we can't sleep, so might as well stay here and listen to your chatting. Oh, are you trying to say that's going to send you to sleep, Arnold? Timbo says, 2 + 2 is a way of explaining law that actually keeps me interested. Yeah, I completely agree, mate. Doug's just, it's not like some law channels basically read from the rule book. And so what they do is they're not really explaining it themselves. They're basically just reading what's in the book. Where Doug feels like he kind of breaks it down and almost turns it into English, if you like. So yeah, I'm definitely a fan of that. So yeah, I've just kind of highlighted a little piece across the top of the head there, really, just to make it almost look like it's got a bit of a kind of glowing eye on the top. I'll just use this just to, let me just wash that off a second. So that's that bit. Right, what I'll do with this one is I think I need to dry brush a little bit of the silver on here as well. I have to wash this little brush out. Tim says the paint all the minis Rangers of Shadow Deep playthroughs were perfect. I'll have to watch them ones, mate. I've not watched their stuff yet. You did mention that to me, I think, but I've not watched those ones yet. Jonathan says Beasts of War have a WDX on their playlist with good lore sections with all the factions from War Cradle. They do, but I think they're quite old, aren't they? I think it's been quite a while ago since anybody did any Wild West Exodus stuff. Lee says it sounds like BlackJack's on tour. Yeah, I was hoping like sort of UK Games Expo and stuff like that this year would have been a perfect opportunity to get out and kind of meet a few people, but yeah, coronavirus had a different idea on that one. Peter says we were both painting Death Guard last time. I got the chance to see what you did differently to me and always seemed to produce better looking figure and quickly to boot. To be honest, I think, to be honest, mate, the biggest thing that's speeded up my painting is caring less about the finish. And actually, coincidentally, what tends to happen then is actually it's kind of improved the finish. Whoop, you don't need to see my head there. It's kind of improved the finish because I'm not agonizing over details anymore. So I think almost in a really kind of counterintuitive way, caring less, I think, has actually improved it. So yeah, go figure. Right, I'm just kind of using that silver again just to highlight up some of this kind of armouring around the boots, and the looks like it's got some kind of like metal paneling along the bottom of his cloak as well. So we'll do the along there. We've got that shoulder piece. We've got his like armour on his gloves, the back of his gloves. Little badge on the helmet there, and we'll put a little bit across his chest there as well inside. We'll do that, I think. Tony says, what I like about WoW is the steampunk thing. It's something that you see little of, to have some nice minis that are very steampunk or a lovely change from the regular stuff. It's one of the things I love about Malifaux, mate, as well. Those minis are kind of give me the same feels as well. Dirk's off to bed. Nighty night, everybody. Night, Dirk. Thank you very much for coming in. Peter says, I decided my initial painting was very messy, and I'm trying to control that with the Omega. I think it shows somewhat, hopefully. Yeah, sorry, yeah, just that as well, mate. You're just kind of taking your time sometimes can speed you up because you're not going back and spending time fixing mistakes and things as well. David says, Battletech looks awesome. I was a huge fan of the Mech Warrior and Mech Assault games back in the day, and I've heard good things. VG says, okay, so Beasts of War is now on tabletop. Maybe they should have workshopped a better name. I think what I saw them do an interview about that actually not too long ago, and what they said was essentially there was a couple of reasons. One was they said that they felt that YouTube basically wasn't sharing their stuff because they had the word war in their title, so it was getting pushed down, kind of like down the rankings, if you like. I'm not sure if that's the case, but I'm sure that they've got the data to back that up. So maybe that was the case. So that was one thing. The other one was as they basically, as they were branching out into board game stuff as well, and they were doing it. Obviously, I think trying to grow their business, trying to branch out from just tabletop gaming. They started to get into basically board gaming as well, and that was where they were starting to attend things like UK Games Expo and trying to get more companies to advertise with them, I suppose. And so it better reflected their kind of mix of stuff. It wasn't just kind of war games. It was a mix of things. So yeah, I think that was one of the big reasons why they changed it on tabletop. It was more kind of more focused on what they were doing, and it didn't have war in the title essentially. So yeah, I forget where I saw that interview, but I think it was Jerry that was being interviewed about it. Might have been Little War TV. It might have been when they were at Historicon. God, there's a memory for you. It's amazing the useless stuff I can remember. I'm just using. So what I tend to do, folks, is I tend to always end up highlighting red with Wild Rider red, which is almost kind of orange to be fair, but it really does. It just gives a bit of a nice kind of bright highlight to the edges of it, and just lightens up that red a little bit. Because I think if you try and highlight it by mixing a bit of kind of white into it, you just end up with a horrible pink colour. Orange is a much better highlight for red. Let's go down the chat a little bit as well. Thank you very much, James Arm, as well. I'm getting to that bit where you what's the word I'm looking for? Not pledged. Donated. That was the word I'm looking for. Timo says, I'm subbed on tabletop, but I don't really watch the videos. I must admit, I do enjoy their weekend of videos. I kind of tend to watch them on a Saturday morning with a cup of coffee if I'm up before the rest of the family and stuff. and I'll sometimes put them on if I'm sitting doing a bit of painting by myself as well. So I do like them, but I tend to watch the other ones where I'm interested in the particular game. Really, there's a lot of stuff when they're just doing like unboxings of stuff. I tend not to watch a lot of unboxing things, which is one of the reasons I don't do a lot of unboxing stuff on my channel, really. Philip says Lost World Exodus is set at the South Pole, I think. Gives them a chance to do different themed models and add a few rules. Yeah, so essentially it's set in the same universe as Wild West Exodus, and it's the same kind of factions and things, if you like. But basically Wild West Exodus is set in the west of America, in the Wild West of America, I should say. And the Lost World Exodus is kind of, it's other things that are happening in the same timeline in the universe, in the world, if you like. So yeah, I think it's quite an interesting idea. Right, so that's that one done. That's that one done. That one's done. I need to tidy up the gun a little bit where I've just kind of went a little bit over, touched on it with the orange. Let's get a small dry brush, I think, and just pick up some of the silver. BJ says, mini agnostic games don't really work for me. As a visual person, I need great looking minis to hook me in. It's always been one of my drawbacks, mate, as well, and I'm willing to kind of give them a go, which is essentially what I'm doing now. Is that I'm trying to kind of sit like never write anything off until I've kind of tried it myself, if you like. That's kind of where I am at the minute with this kind of stuff. But I must admit, I'm a visual gamer as well. I'm a visual gamer, so, and I think I've said before is I like to, when I'm playing a game, I like to know what the models are. So I like to look at something and say, oh well, that's definitely that because I know that's what that model is, kind of thing. I've seen it on the website. So I'm not writing those things off, but that's why I'm doing a review of them basically. Yeah, that's the plan. Right, I think we'll get a little bit of gold on the sheriff's badge thing on his back there. Jonathan says, good night, all look forward to seeing the results in the morning. Thanks, mate. Thank you very much for coming in. George is saying, well done, Andy. You can't pull a sickie now, can you? It's funny, actually, my little one's not been very well tonight. And that kind of thing did go through my head, like, God, yeah, what happens when you get ill? You've just got to crack on and get on with it, haven't you? There's no sick pay. Peter says, I love miniature agnostic games. I have over 8,000 miniatures currently. Anything to break out and have fun is great. I think, to be honest, mate, it's a lot of it is who do you play your games with as well. Like the people I play games with tend to be people that play certain games. So trying to kind of get them to play something that, get them to learn a new game where they can use the minis they've already got and then not use them in the game they bought them for is kind of counterintuitive. So it's definitely, some gaming groups are open to trying a new kind of mini rule set every week. Some gaming groups just want to play what they play, kind of thing. So horses and courses for everybody, mate. Everybody's that's the beauty of our hobby. There's always something for everybody. Just put a little bit of gold on those kind of sheriff badges. I think I'll put a little bit of gold on the stock of that gun as well, just to kind of break it up a little bit. I'll give it a quick dry brush with the silver when it's dry, and we'll pick out the badge on the front of his hat as well, which actually just, you can't really see what it is. It's not moulded the best, I don't think, that bit. Right, I do need to do his face. John Estel says, second hour of base coat in red has convinced me it's time for an airbrush. Yeah, when you're doing big batches of one colour, mate, airbrushes are an absolute godsend. I did all my Marines with airbrushes, and it really kind of, it made me think I could do a big army of stuff like that because of that. 20 saying he could have come up with 20 better names given 5 minutes. I think it's a case of that they want not sound generic, because that's not what you want to do when you're marketing something, but they want it to be easily identifiable, like when you hear the name you know exactly what they do, kind of thing. But yeah, I do agree it's a little too generic. There are quite a few channels with tabletop in their title that can make it not confusing in the slightest, but like you've got tabletop tactics, you've got tabletop minions, like on tabletop there's the tabletop the top table channel as well, top table gaming. There's along with many others, there's a lot of channels with tabletop in their titles. That was a bit of alliteration there, wasn't it? Tabletop in their titles. Gene says, I find the sales driven this is the mini we sell you that you need to represent a creature is far more restrictive. I think the problem is that nobody really says that though, do they? Like you can play a 40k and you can use any minis you want. Like you can play Kings of War and you can use any minis you want. It's just that they are miniature companies and they make a range of minis. And if you like them minis, then you can buy them basically. It's like I would never play an army that I didn't like the minis for, because I'm going to have to kind of devote myself to painting them, if you like. So it's not really that different. There it is. So like it's not that different really. Like technically, unless you're playing at a company's kind of headquarters somewhere, which very few people will do. Technically, you can use. Oh, that's way too big. That brush. Where am I doing? Technically, you can use any minis you want. So any game can be miniature agnostic. I just find, for me personally, getting in kind of in the world, into the lore and the background, and seeing those minis that I've heard about, like in the stories, if you like, come to life on the tabletop. That's part of it for me. Gene says, I like all sorts of minis. Don't care where they come from as long as I like the sculpt. Yeah, that's it. That's it. I wouldn't play a 40k and play an army I didn't like the sculpts. Do you know what I mean? So it's just the same, really. Mountain Gremlin Games, good evening. Says, regarding BlackJack on the road, let me know if you're heading to Ireland. The kettle will be on, mate. I would love to come to Ireland, mate. I've only ever been to Ireland once in my life. I went to Belfast. I would love to come to Ireland at some point. I've no idea. I don't know whether you're Republic of Ireland or Northern Ireland, but yes, I would like to come to Ireland. Where are we at there? Benjamin Ash, good evening, Benjamin. Saying, nice, I painted the Warrior Nation. Sweet models. Yeah, these are the ones from the Gunfight Red Oak set that I've had lying around for forever. And I've been reading the rules. We were talking about some stuff on a live stream recently, and I'll probably go off camera here, folks, but the face is tiny to get into underneath the hat. So I'm just trying to get in there and get a little bit of colour onto his face. Not that you can really see it, as the hat casts a lot of shadow underneath it, but just enough that it it looks like I've made an effort. And he has got quite a big moustache and stuff as well, so I think that'll probably do enough, I think, for that bit. Nobody's ever going to see it, especially when he's on the table like that. Ain't nobody going to see his face I've painted. Let me just get a little bit down there. What was I talking about there? Yes, Wild West Exodus stuff. I've had these models lying around for ages. I thought I'd give them a lick of paint. Because basically, I'll be honest, there's not a lot taking my fancy at the minute to go out and buy new stuff. So I'm looking forward to getting something new. But I'm going through my back pile of stuff basically, and painting some stuff I already own. Right, that is the bulk of those 4 minis done now, or 3 minis I was doing. I haven't started the bike yet, but I think we'll come to that soon. I'm going to basically do the bases, I think, for the other ones, because how we're doing for time. Yeah, I think if I crack on with the bases, that should get me the bulk of the way through finishing those ones tonight, and then that's not a bad place to kind of to be. I can always do the bike tomorrow, I think, but we'll see. All right, so this is Zandri Dust I'm using now. Just put this on my wet palette. Just thin it down a little bit. And then all I'm going to do is just paint it over these cork bases and the sand that's around the edges. I'll show you kind of how that's what the bases will essentially look like when they're done. So it starts from this colour. Let me scroll on a little bit in the chat. I actually think I might have caught up a little bit there. Where's that chat up to? VJ saying I'm super neat with my painting, probably too neat. That's why I'm so slow. I used to be the same, mate. I used to be exactly the same. It was one of the things that that really slowed me down and put me off painting like anything more than the odd individual model. But yeah, the thing that's really helped me to kind of get over that, I think, was painting my Kings of War army, my dwarfs. Because what it meant was that basically I would have given up a long time ago if I tried to do everything to kind of the best of my ability. And through forcing myself to kind of cut some corners, I actually found that found a real satisfaction in just getting stuff finished, and actually I found some satisfaction in finding out what corners I could cut to get it looking good enough. Like I should kind of keep reminding myself back then that I'm not painting for a display piece. I'm not painting to win an award. It's not like I'm entering it into a competition. I'm painting so that my minis look really cool on the table, and that I'm happy with the overall finish. And once I kind of got that into my head, and it took me a long, long time, folks. It's not like I'm kind of some miracle worker. Once I got that in my head, it all just seemed to click for me, and I felt I was completing more stuff. I was painting faster in general. I didn't worry about the sort of infinite little details and stuff. There's a time where that shield on the back, I'd have kind of been picking out all sorts of stuff on that. Right now, it's just painted that colour, highlight it with a dry brush, done, move on. When it's on the table, I'll not even give it a second thought. And when it's on the table, if it's on display, you won't even see it. It's on the back. So yeah, there's a time to kind of to really knuckle down and do your best work, and then there's a time to just get it done. And that was one of the big things that worked for me. Blizzard says, I've only ever tried the Black Templar for contrast. Works pretty good for smaller bits. Yeah, to be honest, I mean, there are some that don't work as good, I would say. It's almost like they're just lighter colours anyway, and they're quite pale, if you like. I'm not overly keen on the yellow one at the minute. I've tried it a couple of times. I'm not as keen on the yellow one, but some of the browns and the like the reds and the blues, I love. I used the ultramarine blue on these ones, and it covers lovely. It covers really nice. Let's keep going with this. Where was I up to? Kieran saying there's something going on tonight. Normally we have to send it into a topic of what's everyone's favourite snacks or something. There's still time for that, mate. There's still time for that. I think I tend to go off topic a bit when if the chat slows down, or if I catch up and there's nothing to talk about, I'll go, so I've been watching this programme tonight, or I had this on my tea, or whatever it is. But tonight we've been talking much more kind of gaming and painting and stuff tonight, haven't we? So, but I'm happy to go off and do something else. Vijay says, regarding mini agnostic games, I did buy the Veman minis to use them in Kill Team as space scavenging using Gene Stealer cult rules. Nice one, mate. You have to tell me when you've had that first game. It'd be good to hear how they run out. But after watching a number of Dead Zone back reps, I'm definitely considering at least giving the game a go now. Should definitely give it a try, mate. Even if just to kind of to see what you thought of it, really. It's definitely I like the game. I wouldn't recommend giving it a go if I thought it was garbage. So definitely worth just giving it a try. Just kind of getting in one of them zones now of just kind of looking. Tim Kelly says, Snyder's honey mustard and onion pretzel pieces. That sounds absolutely awful, mate. Oh God, what is it? Pretzels, obviously pretzel pieces. Yeah, I don't think I'll be rushing out to buy any of those, mate, from my local pub when it reopens. I'm not really even kind of thinking about going to the pub when they reopen. I don't feel like I've missed seeing my mate, but like I went to his house the other day for a cup of coffee. We kind of sat out in the garden and had a cup of coffee, and it was like, actually, I'm not missing the pub. I'm just missing catching up. Vijay says, saying you have to use a mini isn't the way I think of it. I prefer to think it's up to the company to make a mini so awesome I need to use it. Yes, exactly, mate. That's exactly what I mean. Wow, the chat just jumped ahead there. Northern Ireland. Belfast is Northern Ireland, mate. Yeah, sorry, I know Belfast is Northern Ireland. I didn't know whereabouts in Ireland. I forget who it was now. Somebody that was in the chat talking about it. I didn't know whereabouts they were. Tim was saying bedtime for him. Night, guys. Catch you on the Discord. Yeah, see you in the Discord, mate. And thank you very much as well for your support and Patreon as well. Phil says the point of agnostic rule systems is so you can play Space Marines versus Hack Islam or Gene Stealers versus Conflict 47. But you could do that in any game. That's my point. So like VJ is saying, he bought his Veermen to use in Kill Team as space rats using Gene Stealer cult rules. So like you still can. Like you don't need to buy a rule set that's miniature agnostic to do that. The reason I would buy a miniature agnostic rule set is because it's adaptable a bit. Think of it like a D&D game. Think of it like a role-playing game. Like if I can buy a role-playing game that I can adapt to use in any setting I want, without much work. If that company's done the work for me, for example, then that intrigues me. So like I was talking to Tim Kelly the other day. We talked about Rangers of Shadow Deep, and he was saying that there's a Star Wars kind of like mod for Rangers of Shadow Deep. That's pretty cool. There's somebody in the community that's working on a Batman mod for it, and like that kind of stuff started to kind of like trigger like sort of thoughts in my head. Like I've got Batman Gotham City Chronicles. I hardly ever play it as a board game. I think I've played it like 3 times or 4 times in total. It's got some fantastic minis in it. If I could run like a Batman Rangers of Shadow Deep game, playing solo as well, like I'll get some use out of those minis that I've got. But that's me wanting to use my Batman minis. That's not me saying I've got a Batman game that I want to use other minis in, if you like. So for me, those kind of miniature agnostic games need to give me something that the games I've already got or the games I already play don't. Do you know what I mean? So maybe I look at them slightly different. I know a lot of you folks are saying like you just want to use the minis that you've already got. Maybe you've got a lot more minis than I have. Maybe that's the reason that you feel the way you do about it. That's all I would kind of maybe think in that way. Because I tend to paint minis to play with, if you like, but I'm painting them to play a certain game with them. So if I'm painting up Star Wars minis, I want to play a Star Wars game. I don't want to use my stormtroopers to use in 40k, for example. But I could. So therefore, you don't necessarily need to have miniature agnostic games to enable you to do that. I think miniature agnostic games are generally when somebody has an idea for a game, like somebody who's just a hobbyist, if you like, has an idea for a game and they want to get them rules out there. But they're not a company that's sculpting minis and stuff. They want to get their rules published. They want to let people try the rules and stuff. So I always see kind of like miniature agnostic stuff as much more independent. But it doesn't make them a bad rule set or anything like that. It's just they tend to be. It tends to be hard to get a game of them. That's the problem, because unless you've got a gaming friend who's also equally interested in them, you're likely to hardly ever come across somebody kind of at a local gaming group who goes, "Oh yeah, I play that." Especially the more obscure the rule set. David Delaney says, anyone have a suggestion for tanned hide skin? Tanned hide skin, I was thinking Zandri dust. Zandri dust might work, mate, with it. What's the other one I'm thinking of as well? There's something slightly darker than Zandri dust. Zandri dust is quite yellowy, as you can see here. Maybe with a little touch of Bugman's glow mixed into it, just to redden it up a little bit. I think that might work. Stephen Bonner, nice to see you, mate. He says, "Damn, that looks good, Andy. Thank you very much, mate. It's just kind of cracking through it, mate. I'm just trying to do it as quickly as I can. Chatting and reading the chat definitely slows me down though. But that's why I'm here, to read the chat and chat to you lot. I'm not complaining about that bit. That'll do as a first coat over that, because essentially what I'll do is I'll dry brush over the top of that later. So, and then that'll really kind of boost it up a little bit. Let's see where we're up to in the chat. Tony Howell says, I've been liking your Wild West extra spaces, mate. They look nice. They're really, really simple, mate. They're just a bit of cork and a bit of sand, and then just basically dry brushing them, mate. I'll show you as soon as these bases have dried, really. I might as well go around and just paint black around the rim of them. Peter, having a chat. Philip Tallhurst says, I've looked at one-page rules in the past. Yeah, I think it was one-page rules that got in touch with me as well, and sent me some stuff to look at. Georgie says, I like to use minis in other games. Lawmen from Shadows of Brimstone are also Regiment of Obsidian Golems in Kings of War. Yeah, I'm not against it. Like, I mean, please don't think I'm not dissing miniature agnostic rule sets. What I'm suggesting is that if the reason you're playing them is to use models you've already got in a different setting, like, then basically that you can do that now with games that are already out there, if you like. For me, the reason to play a miniature agnostic game is because the game is good. Because what it's not doing is it's not necessarily attracting me with the lore. It's not attracting me with the visual aspect of a miniature range. So the game has to be good. It has to offer me something different to what I already play. That's all I'm really saying about it. It's like, it's not, like I say, I'm not saying any of these games are poor because I don't know enough about them yet. Just the ones I've been reading so far. So anyway, Steve says, I remember chatting to you about painting at the Weekender while I was doing my elves. Yes, mate, I know. Honestly, I think I'd started on that path really of what you were talking about, mate. About kind of like, you know, you're not like you're painting an army, you're not painting a miniature kind of thing. Like, it's, you know, not every model needs to be perfect. I was kind of getting that in my head, I think, before that, but sometimes it's just hearing it from somebody kind of just confirms what you think, doesn't it? But yeah, seeing, and I mean this in the nicest possible way, Steve, like seeing, I was going to say how little effort, but that's not what I mean. What I mean is that putting effort in the right places is amazing. Kind of like, rather than trying to put effort into everything, putting the effort in the right places and cutting some corners is it pays dividends. Beauty said, how's the paint and wet palette holding out in the heat, or has it cooled down there? Nah, it's cooled now, mate. It's been flipping miserable the last few days. The temperature's definitely gone now. It's the northeast of England, mate. We get summer for about 3 days a year. So yeah, so the weekend was okay. It was forecast to be awful, but actually it wasn't too bad at all. And then yesterday, Monday, Tuesday, and today has been just, it's been a bit grey, and it was really windy on Monday. It was blowing a gale, and it's kind of forecast for bad weather basically the rest of the week. So I had a hoodie on today, for example. So yeah, the heat's gone, mate. If I've got a red head, it's just because I've got a red head. It's not because it's hot. Steve Bonner says, contrasts take a good mix in before use. I'd give them a shake, mate, but nothing excessive, like nothing more than I would for like a normal paint. Give them a bit of a shake up. I have seen some that I've not really used that have been kind of separating a little bit, so they might need a bit of a shake. But I don't think they need a full-on kind of like shake every time. Like I've got one of those nail varnish shakers, and I kind of use that basically just to, when I first got the paints, just to kind of give them a good mix. But I've not had to do anything too strenuous with them. I tell you what, folks, as well, even just painting the rim of a base, like I'll still have to tidy this up again once I dry brush over the top because I'm about to catch the edges of it. But just painting the rim of a base, like almost makes it a miniature feel finished. It just kind of frames it, doesn't it? And I do like these Wild West Exodus bases. I think they call them like stadium bases or something, but they look like the kind of thing that you get like on the bottom of a display piece or on the bottom of a trophy or something like that. They really do kind of give each little piece, it's kind of sets it off a little bit. Yeah, I like them. I'm surprised more minis don't. I used to like the rounded kind of the round lip bases as well. I used to get with the War Machine stuff. They always look nice as well, rather than the kind of the flat-sided ones that you get with GW. Right, we'll let that dry off. I'll do this one. VGC here. Oh, where was that one? VJ was just saying something. Oh, favourite snacks got to be veggie crisps. Veggie crisps. Tony said I've been arsing around with a scenic diorama base that won't even have. I don't even have a minute to go on it, but it's just like a thought moment. Do you know what it is, mate? I like the way you kind of you hobby. You just basically you get like a little project in your head, and then you just kind of set off and paint it and just it'll look nice at the end kind of thing. I like that. It's not necessarily linked to any particular game. You buy the minis you like, you paint them up, and then you move on to the next one. I like that, mate. There's a sense of just like it's like there's no rush to it. It's like the only time pressure you've got on it is just I'll finish it when I finish it kind of thing. It's not like I need to paint this because I've got a game at the weekend and I need to get this done for then, or I'm making a video or any of that kind of malarkey. Yeah. David says his favourite snacks are jalapeno cheesies. I don't think I've ever heard of them, mate. Snack is double battered cheeseburger with chippy sauce on a buttered roll. Stephen Bonner. Unsubbed, I don't know what you're missing. I'm not a big fan of pretzels, mate. So maybe I'd appreciate the pretzel more if it had flavour like that on it. But I would never really just sort of sit and eat pretzels. I don't really tend to sit and eat snacks like that, like crisps and stuff. Very, very rarely, really. Normally I'll eat a pack of crisps if my wife's bought some for the little one kind of thing. If he's got some like teddy bear pom bar crisps or something like that. Or pom bear as they're called these days. I'll probably have a bag of crisps then, or if we've been having a bit of a drink or we're having a quiz night or something like that, and we've got some the hot Doritos, I might sit and eat some of them, but yeah, I'm not really a snacker. Right, we'll let that one dry as well. Do I want to do anything else while I'm waiting for them bases to dry? I'll tell you what we'll do. I'll tidy up a couple of bits of silver that I need to tidy up. 20, good call about buffalo wings and ranch dressing. Stacey's favourite chocolate snacks are Revels, man. Oh, I haven't had Revels in ages. Tony says, I'm a devil for a whisper cold. VJ says, how's your mini swap coming, Andy? Do you know what it is, mate? I've really struggled because I don't really have any minis that I could use for the mini swap. So I've kind of struggled, mate. And then I've seen what everybody else has done with these like fancy dioramas and stuff like that. And it's like, I don't even have the gear to do that kind of stuff. So I'll get there. It's only fair. I'll get there and I'll finish it for Scott. But yeah, I've not made any progress, mate. I've not made any progress. So if you're waiting for me to finish, mate, to move on to the next one, feel free to move on. Don't wait for me. What are we up to? Steve Bonner says, I'm using Void 1.1 Plastic Humans as 30k militia and 40k guard who support my Mantic Forge for the squats. Nice, mate. Philip says, I have Rangers of Shadow Deep bookmarked on my toolbar. I really need to get it. Yeah, I haven't read it yet, but I do have it to read. And like I say, Tim was telling me about he showed me the link to the Facebook group for Rangers and the guy that's doing the Batman one. And it was like, oh yeah, that is interesting. Lee Russ is saying, RPGs are the ultimate mini agnostic games. For my fantasy one, I have D&D minis, GW minis, board game pieces, etc. Anything goes. Yeah, that's kind of what the way I kind of see it. Even with like rule sets, make miniature agnostic rule sets for mini games. Like it has to be about the rules as opposed to just using the minis. Because I could use the minis in any game. Like the rules have to be good enough that I want to use them, if you like. Probably just went a little bit heavy on the dry brush on the front there, but just rub that away a bit, I think. That'll do for that one. I think that base is dry enough now to get some of the... Oh, actually, it's not. It's still a bit wet on the black part. We'll leave that to dry a bit longer. Let me just move back onto here and I'll have a bit of chat while I'm waiting for them to dry. David saying, yeah, the biggest draw for me... You know what it is? I haven't even had a drink of my blooming lemonade. Excuse me. Biggest draw for me in a miniature agnostic game, a good way to represent the fluff I see in my head in a game that combines depth with click play. I get that mind, David. If you've got a story in your head you want to tell and those games are not out there, I do understand that mind. Steve Bonner saying a Star Wars RPG with Star Wars Legion mini sounds fun. Yeah, I think I'm right. Lee Russ was doing Star Wars one that might have been using these Imperial Assault minis, I think. VG saying my paint mini specifically to play something in mind, even if I never get to play. And yeah, that's me, mate. Yeah, mini agnostic just seems like a company or a person that doesn't have the resources to produce their own mini line. Yeah, and that's where my head's at, which is one of the reasons I'm really kind of like looking into it. I might be missing a trick. I might be completely misjudging it. It's one of the reasons I want to do that. Tony saying, love the metal on that dog bot. What's the colours so I can write them down? Do you mean this one, mate? The bigger one? Is it this one here? So the colours I used were, let me find it. So base coated the entire thing with contrast Griff Charger Grey, and then dry brushed over the top of it with Necron Compound. And I'm thinking about doing something like that for the Necrons, basically, because I also obviously on this one, oops, that was exactly the same except I used Balthazar gold on the gold parts. That was it, mate. And the reds I've used, the reds on this one was contrast Blood Angels red, and then it was a dry brush of Evil Sun Scarlet, and then it was a dry brush of Wild Rider red, which kind of gives you the orangey bit on the top, and that's how I've done them, mate. Vigi says, how is everyone else going with the mini swaps? I've seen some fantastic ones, mate. Of the ones that people have done. I saw the one that Luke Pryor had sent to Tony today as well. Brilliant, mate. Steve Bonner says, Andy, what's the base colour you're using? Do you mean the colour for the bases itself, mate? It's Zandri Dust. I'll put some into a Zandri Dust, mate. Christian as well. Nice to see you, Christian. How you doing, fella? VJ says, by the way, any people out there looking to start or improve their painting, Donna Howell's new video is fantastic stuff. Dan Hughes, nice to see you, Dan. He says, Donna Howell is fantastic, so deadpan and so funny. I've seen the odd video from her. I need to kind of watch some more, mate. Peter saying, just mention again, historical rule sets are always miniature agnostic. If you play historicals, you are used to it. Napoleon's Old Guard are the same minis no matter what. So, okay, so that's a prime example then. You can use them minis in any game you want. So you're going to pick the rule set that you like playing the game, aren't you? That's kind of my point. So, like, if I like playing Star Wars Legion, for example, why would I go looking for a miniature agnostic game that I can use my Star Wars minis in? That's kind of where my head's at. It would need to be a good rule set to make me move away from a more popular game that I'm more likely to get opponents in. That's my point. David Delaney says, good luck on the bug and glow. I did a thin coat of Azandri and it looks perfect. Nice one, mate. Sometimes I get attracted to a miniature agnostic game based on its art, like Rangers of Shadow Deep or Planet 28. I don't know about Planet 28, mate. Rangers of Shadow Deep does intrigue me, more so because of the solo rules and stuff as well. And because actually for a miniature agnostic game, it's quite well known, it's quite popular. So it's not like nobody's heard of it kind of thing. It's not like it. If I wanted to convince somebody to play it with me, people will have said, oh, I've heard of that game. Where if I say, will you play obscure game from some guy in Zimbabwe who's wrote this rule set, like that's a different sell, isn't it? Tony says, can we soundbite that beautiful pop sound when Andy opens a paint? It's very relaxing and satisfying. Here we go, mate. Are you ready? Just for you, mate. VG says, speaking of fashion and law channels that just regurgitate GW law, pool yet that has YouTube banned Arch Warhammer yet? I don't know, mate. I've not even. I purposefully. I've never watched his stuff, other than stuff that people have like shared to me to say, like, look at what he's saying here. So I've never. I don't want to go and click on anything looking for him in case it starts recommending me stuff. That's the last thing I want. So I've got no idea, mate. And I wouldn't recommend anybody else to go and check it out either. Blizzard says only 3 days of summer a year. Sounds like my kind of place. Yeah, it's not a particularly very warm place in the northeast of England, mate. Over there. BGS. Oh. What was that one? VG says agitators for every pot and dropper. This is the way. VG says stadium base, so you finally got a trophy. Yeah, that's what War Cradle called them. They called them stadium bases. Cheesies or Cheetos? Oof. George says, I agree about painting the base room. When I was painting GW Gobbo's army, I'd do the base just to spur me on to paint the next 40. Do you know what it is, mate? Let me get my my Space Marines I've been doing. If I can find the drawer I've put them in. Oh, they can't find them now. Oh, here they are. So I've been painting up the Marines from the Dark Imperium set. Let me go. And I've got no idea how to base them. I can't decide how I want to base them yet. So I just painted them black now, just because obviously they were covered off where I used the airbrush and spray primed them. But I just painted them black because I couldn't even envisage how they should look. They just never looked finished. So yeah, in fact, let me just I'll get the box of them out, and you can kind of see where I'm up to with them. I think this is the first time I've kind of showed them off. So let me zoom out a little bit, and you might be able to see them. So these are those inside my. So these are the boxes that you kind of like the wooden. There's just wooden drawers in the shelf behind me, and they're all full of minis. Make sure I'm not knocking anything over here. So I've got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Whoops, that one's not. 6, 7, 8, 9. There should be a 10th one somewhere. Whereabouts is he? He's hiding there somewhere. Is that right? 1, 2. Should be. Oh, there he is. Oh, no, that's the banner guy. He's a big guy. There's 5 of those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, there's 10 in there, sorry. Yeah, so I've got my 10 intercessors. There's the 5 hell blasters. There's these guys, which are the, I even forget what they're called now. Is it aggressors, these ones? They're starting to come together. And I've just kind of took my time with them, really, just kind of plodding on. I was messing about with them as well a little bit. I painted the cape with my airbrush. So all that back is kind of airbrushed, and all down the inside. I even airbrushed that, and then kind of and went in. All of the armor's airbrushed as well, so there's a little bit more work to do, like doing the lenses and stuff like that. But like the what they call the transfers and stuff have gone on. I've got a few more transfers to do. But yeah, just like I say, I'm just painting the stuff I've already got. If I can't like bring myself to paint like the stuff I've already got for 40k, like there's no point in me picking up any kind of 40k starter sets, because they'll just kind of sit there as well. So he's the guy there. Yeah, so I've been working on those. But yeah, just kind of painting them up with the just with the what they call it, with the airbrush, really, and working my way through them. Need to get the head on this model as well, which is these. Actually, don't know where I've put the heads, but yeah, I've got plenty of spares of those things. But yeah, but the point being, I had no idea what to do with the base. I still don't know how to base them yet, but I painted them all black just because actually it was really distracting. It was really distracting seeing them all in the airbrushed overspray. Just close some of them up. Oh, good radio that, innit? Me putting stuff back in the drawers. Peter Cummins says time to start clean up for work in 5 hours. Wow, mate. VJ saying time tied and mini swaps, wait for no man. Exactly. Mark Wright saying can't beat a bag of cheese and onion crisps with pickled egg. Oh, don't think I've ever eat a pickled egg, mate. David Moffat says one of his Rangers of Shadow Deep game friends loves superhero stuff. I should really look into the Batman mod. Yeah, look on the Rangers of Shadow Deep Facebook page, mate. Somebody's doing some work, and I think they were saying they're pretty close to that. Phil says he plays Snakes and Saloons. In fact, I DM the game, which is a Wild West D&D 5th edition. However, we use Roll20. Nice, mate. I like the sound of that. Tony says, thank you, buddy. I just go with the flow with hobbying. I just enjoy it for what it is. Don't need to worry about the other style but my own. Enjoy the hobby is my mantra. Yes, mate. Honestly, we can all learn a lot from that. Anna's in as well from Red Rose Wargaming. Evening all. Sorry I missed most of the stream tonight. Was working the late shift. Never apologise for missing a stream, Anna. I'll be here whether you need to come and whether you feel like dropping in or not. Don't worry about that. Lee says, yes, Star Wars RPG was me with both Legion and Imperial Assault minis, as well as X-Wing and Armada. Oh, nice, mate. Yeah, I'd love to be a fly on the wall and watch that game. Tim says, I'm using minis from Mansions of Madness, Descent, Hellboy, AOS, Frostgrave and others for Rangers of Shadow Deep. The game is simple, quick and great narrative. Doesn't use billions of tokens or cards. Yeah, that's there's a company sent me an email today saying that they've got a new game coming out and did I want to have a look at it, and they sent me a link to a playthrough video of it, and it seemed not overly complicated, but just like tokens everywhere. Like so you put a token down here to say that you've activated, and here's a token to say that you're in cover or you're shielding or whatever it was. Here's a token to say that you've been target locked. And I was just thinking, oh god, like it's just token after token after token, and there was no cards to say, well, put them on the cards kind of thing or anything like that. So yeah, I like cards, by the way. I think that's I think I would make my own cards for games like Rangers of Shadow Deep and stuff. I like having the card there to put like tokens on. It's one of the things I quite like about Wild West Exodus is like all the rules for the mini are on the card, if you like. It's the same with Malifaux. It's one of the things I loved about Malifaux. For all the cards there's a lot of information on them. It breaks it down in a way that my brain can kind of handle it. So it's like there's all these rules, but I don't need to worry about them because they're on models that I don't own. I don't need to know about them. I only need to know about the rules, the minis I need to know about. And that's why I like the cards. I like that about Vanguard. I like that about Warcry. I like that about Wild West Exodus. I like it about Malifaux. I just like having cards in front of me. Jimmy Newton says, I recently bought 5 Parsecs from home. Has a good campaign system. Only played one home, so we'll reserve judgment on the game and rules for now. Yeah, I need to have a look at that one as well. I don't think I've got the rules for that one, but the guy did send me a discount code, I think. JVC Paints, Hellboy, some great minis for it. Yeah, I can imagine, mate. Tim Kelly says, like a typical FFG game. I'm so excited to get started. Yes. Phil says Xandri Dust is my favourite paint because I use it for so many things. I like Xandri Dust as well, mate, which is why I've run out. I've got very little left of it, to be fair. Tony says cheers for that. Griff Charger is one I don't have yet. Yeah, I've also tried it with the Space Wolves grey as well, mate, and it's not that different. It's pretty good with the Space Wolves grey as well. Steve Bonner says nice cheers on the sand base colour. Might need more for my desert Tatooine huts. Yeah, so eventually, mate, I'll show you. So this is. Oh, let me zoom back in again now. So this is how the bases end up. That's how they look at the minute, and that's how they'll end up basically. So I'll just go over the top with a dry brush. In fact, I'll show you now because those ones are a bit drier now. Let me go. So the one I go with is a rack white. If I can get my hand on it, is that it there? Yeah, so it's a dry brush, but it's not. It's got a bit of a yellowy tinge to it. I don't know. I might have potentially sort of messed it up at some point or something like that. Maybe that's why it's got a bit of a yellowy tinge to it. But let me just. So we'll get that. And then just a light dry brush across the top. Just to lighten it up, really. Oof, I must not wash the brush out properly. I thought I'd get the paint out of it. I thought that was just dried orange. I think I might have to clean that one again. There was a bit of orange seemed to be coming out of that one there. Let me just try that again. Obviously the cork texture helps as well, just to give it a bit of rough up. So I'll just drag that around a little bit, and you can see compared to that one, it's starting to get a bit closer to the colour now. And then what I tend to do after that, after I've done that rack white, is I will take like a pure white, something like White Scar, and do it again just with a very light dry brush of that. And just to more to highlight the edges really, and just to brighten it up a little bit. Pick up some of the sand texture. And essentially that's it. So you can see how it kind of looks more like the other ones now. And then and compared to how it started off, it just really kind of lightens it up and just makes it feel a bit more kind of just like dry, deserty type finish. I think I need to change my water, I think, because my water's got a bit too much red in it now, I think. I need to try and clean that up. Where are we at? Oh, there's a bit of chat just seemed to jump along there. That's where we were. David Delaney says, I collecting Star Wars minis for homebrew Star Wars campaign. I'm even using Gene Stealers in place of Raghouls. Nice, mate. Nice one. David says, all rain has stopped. We're off for a bike ride. Catch you on the rerun. See you, mate. And hello when you're back in the rerun as well. Welcome back to the madhouse. Jen saying, did you say your forte was marketing, not selling things? No, mate. I mean, my old job was definitely more in design and stuff like that. But I worked for the marketing department, so I kind of understood a bit more about marketing. But I'm definitely not a salesman, mate. I'm not much of a negotiator, put it that way. Peter says, I think you're looking at it differently. You pick a game, paint the models, and stick to it. Some people just buy a bunch of models from everywhere and then search for rules. Yeah, I think that's the whole point, mate. I don't think I do. Like, I don't think I do like kind of paint a load of models and then search for rules. That's why it doesn't feel kind of sort of as natural to me, if you like, to go for like a miniature agnostic game. So maybe I am kind of missing the point, and that's why I'm interested in looking into it, really. I'm just tidying up the edges a little bit there. I've got to do with a slight bit more white. So that's that one down. We'll do the black edging on that one again in a bit, and we'll do the same with this one. We'll go back to the rat white. Where are we up to? Tony saying, Luke's mini diorama is beautiful. We were a lovely first match. Please don't feel you have to compete. Just do your own thing. That works with your partner. I intentionally told Scott not to show me what he'd done because I didn't want to feel like kind of any pressure to... I'm not much of a diorama builder, to be fair. So I've never built a diorama in my life. So I kind of, if I had the time and I had the equipment, if you like the spare bits and pieces to do it, I'd probably give it a chance. But I thought it was just paint a mini. maybe I got a bit overwhelmed by what I was supposed to be doing. But yeah, I need to find a model first. I need to find something to paint for him. But we'll get there. Gene says, like going to a restaurant and getting the waiter to give you what they think you want. I can't remember what that was in relation to now, Gene. Was that about sort of playing games with kind of rules that's already written? I don't know, mate. I don't know what we're talking about now. It's been a long day. David Delaney says, what do you guys prefer to use for applying GW texture paints? I just use cut up bits of coffee stirrers, mate. I clip the end off so it's at a bit of an angle, and I just and I use them, because then you can just throw them away afterwards rather than trying to clean them up, because they're a nightmare. Like I love that. Like, is it a Grelin Badlands or a Grelin Earth or something like that it's called? I love that as a texture paint. But yeah, it's a nightmare to clean off. Lee Russ, Marines look cracking, mate. Great job. Thank you very much, mate. I'm quite proud of myself, actually. It's like the fact that I've actually almost got them to a completed state. I think it's the most I've ever painted when it's come to GW stuff. And normally I get bored of painting the same colour or something like that. But like I say, learning some tips and tricks to cut back on how long things take has really kind of got me got me on. Busey says, all those decals you've put on those, they are, mate, yes. And he says, any tips? So the way I put the decals on, and there are many different ways to do that, so this is just mine, is I put varnish onto the model where it needs to have the decal on. I obviously wet it, put the decal onto the model, get it into position, and then I then use a hairdryer to heat it up and to kind of to soften the decal. Now you can use a proper product called Microsol and Microset, and the Microsol kind of dissolves it a little bit and softens it up, so it works in a similar kind of way. But I just use a hairdryer, obviously my wife's hairdryer, not mine, as I have no use for a hairdryer. Before anybody comments, I use a hairdryer and kind of just put it on there for a few seconds, and it softens it up. And what it does is, especially like on marine shoulder pads, it just softens it so a flat decal takes to the curvature of the shoulder pad, if you like. And that way I tend not to get any wrinkles in it. I've always done it that way. I've never used the Microsol and the Microset kind of stuff because I don't really put decals on very often to kind of worry about it. But I just find what that does is it seems to it just kind of lets it soften up, mold to the shape. You don't get any wrinkles in it. And then once it's done, I basically just cover it over with a clear matte varnish, mate, just to kind of hold it in place. And that seems to do the job, bud. I've always done it that way. I don't get any wrinkles in them, and I'm really happy with how they come out. So that, folks, I'm going to pretty much call that done. Really, I could do. Actually, I need to tie a little bit up on the gun, and I need to paint his moustache and his beard. But you can't see that on the camera. That's pretty much that one done there. But as you can imagine, folks, I mean, I've done like these ones especially have been super quick tonight. They don't take long at all. Like I'm actually getting stuff finished. I've never got that. I used to take so long to paint things that I would get like half of a starter box done, and then something else would catch my eye, and I'd be off. Oh, like I'll play with that one now, or I'll paint something different, or I'm bored with this because it's taking me so long. Like things like contrast paints and not focusing too much on details that you'll never see. It's just made me much more productive and much happier with the finished project. So yeah, just as I always say, hobby your own way. If you're somebody that enjoys taking your time and trying to paint to the best of your ability, or you're trying to win kind of painting competitions or enter them into competitions, by all means, knock yourself out and paint. Like, you know, take your time with them. But that's just not for me. That's all. And that's what I always try and promote. Really, all I ever really try and promote is to say, like, hobby your way. Don't let anybody tell you you're doing it wrong. That was the whole point in that tabletop standard video type thing. It was just, you know, don't let people tell you you're doing it wrong. Don't tell people you need to get better, and don't let people tell you that if you only did this you could have improved it or whatever. It's fine if you're asking for advice or you're asking for tips, but if you're not, then don't worry about it. Do it your way. Right, that's that one. That's that one looking good. And then this last one here as well. Now I've still got the bike to do as well. I've not even started the bike tonight because that one's just got a bit more detail to it. But depending on how we're doing for time, I might start it. I'm not sure how we're looking for time at the minute. Oh, 11:10. Well, it's later than I thought, actually. It's later than you think. But you said, I have no idea how anyone could paint that many Marines without an airbrush. It's dead easy, mate. You use a coloured spray can, or you just don't worry about doing the highlighting as well. Like I saw someone, Midwinter Minis, I noticed, was recommended to me tonight, and he had a 500-point battle report, which was Marines against Necrons, and the Marines he had were Ultramarines, and they didn't look like they were kind of highlighted. They looked like they were just basically base coated blue, and that was pretty much it. I think sometimes we get caught up thinking like there's an expectation to like, well, like, I need 3 highlights on it. I need to edge highlight everything, or like it's like or just spraying them blue and putting a wash over them is not good enough. Like people are going to tell me that I haven't done a very good job. I think like even I'm guilty of that myself. Of like sometimes thinking, oh, like that might actually be enough, but I should really probably do a bit more. I think that's people who build big armies either are army painters and they only play that one game and they love doing it, or potentially they're just like, or they're just not, they're not worried about it. Let's have a look, see where we're up to. Let me get some back to the main screen for a bit. Mike G says, hi all, I'm a bit late. And don't worry about that, mate. He's had to take Grandma to appointment. She's good. Just needed a med adjustment. I'm glad she's well, mate. I'm glad she's well. Mike G says, ta-da, jazz hands. Peter says, those Marines look good. Almost as good as Dark Angels. Yeah, they might get to face those Dark Angels one day, mate. Tony says, I never used the flat handle of a teaspoon before now. The flat handle of a teaspoon? Oh, I've used the flat handle of a teaspoon. Oh, yes. David Delaney says that could do it, yeah. Vijay says, speaking of cool mods, I've been looking at the Mario Kart mod for Gaslands. I have all the Mario Kart Hot Wheels. Lee, how are you doing, mate? His Ultramarines looking good there. What do you think about basing for them, folks? How would you base them? I keep thinking like a sandy, deserty, something to contrast against the blue. Because the way I've always done things in the past is I've just put sand on and I've just kind of dry brushed the sand. And then I don't know. What do you think? How do you think we should, like, against that blue armor? Something that doesn't detract from that, really. BG says tokens aren't bad for those of us that have shitty memories. I'm the same, mate, as well. I've got horrible memories. However, I don't like tokens all over the board. It takes away from the kind of the game for me. And VG saying token on cards is good though. Gene says, like Malifaux, that's a shame. I can't stand tokens status heavy games that require excessive bookkeeping at the table. Yeah, I don't mind the tokens if they're not all over the board, because then I kind of like, you've got two models together, and is that your token or is that my token, and which model's that one? Or when you moved it, did you remember to move all of the kind of the wound counters with it and stuff? VG says, that's why I always own the War Scroll cards for AOS. Yeah, they don't sell them for very long though, do they? That's the problem with those stuff. Gene saying cards are great because they give you everything you need at a glance. Yeah, I love that. Parsival says, past his bedtime, so night all. Thank you very much for coming in, buddy. VG says, rack white is a warmer white. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's not like really cold white, is it? And I quite like that. Peter saying, don't dream of hobbying. Yoakum says, good night, folks, as well. Got a few things done today again, so thanks to Hobby Hangout. You're welcome, mate. Lee saying, great stream all night all as well. Phillips Tallhouse saying, brush soap. Yeah, I've got brush soap. Always use my brush soap, mate. Bit of rust in the soil. Orange still works. Yeah, I dry brushed over it again, to be fair. It was fine. Where are we up? I use it to warm up the dome. Too long a delay from comment to comment, Andy. It's just the amount of comments there is, mate. That's what it is. It's actually, there's very little delay now. I think it's like something like, how much is it? It's kind of like classed as like ultra low latency, and there's only about 2 or 3 seconds between what I say and when you hear it now. But obviously when I'm reading the chat, like, I'm well behind, and especially when I'm painting at the same time. Phil says the other thing about Wild West is they take from other sources. There's a Firefly posse, and you can get characters from Bravestar, for example. Yeah, I saw. Is it called the Wayward Eight? I think it is the Firefly one. They look cool. William Jones saying, check it out. William says, I find myself reading a lot of this kind of stuff. Will be fun to play as well. Yeah. Miniature painting, nice to see you. He says, what about the dark side with the Absolute Power posse? I don't really know much about the different kind of like factions and stuff at the moment. David says, did you guys start playing the D&D campaign? If so, did you enjoy it? We haven't played the first one yet, mate. We've just been setting up our characters and stuff, and Christian's been kind of introducing people to Roll20 and stuff, and I think we're like setting up our first session soon now. Tony's going to hit the hay as well. Absolute pleasure. Thank you for coming in, mate. Take care. He says, you've all helped me over the last week. We're always here, mate. Don't worry about it. Anytime, you just know where I am to reach out, mate, and I'll check on you as well. Don't worry. VG says, I suppose you don't do highlights or shading, you could smash through a monochrome Marine army. Yeah, exactly, mate. Peter said he's been looking at Dark Angel Primaris for inspiration for his own models. Didn't see any edge highlighting that looked better than plain dark green. Yeah, I mean, essentially what you could do is you can do them a dark green and then a very light dry brush of like a really bright green to kind of make them pop a little bit. But yeah, why worry about it? Tony's saying maybe some Astra Granite for your Smurfs. Yeah, potentially, mate. Yeah, Busey's saying keep the bases simple, just sand and a couple of bits of cat litter. It's kind of what I'm thinking. I do the same sand on pretty much everything, mate. That's all. I was thinking of something a little bit different. And Gene saying I lost my frame of reference over time too. Tim says, how about a light grey city rubble for the bases, or move them onto Sector Imperialis or Necromunda GW bases? Yeah, I don't know if I want to buy all those Sector Imperialis ones, but I think something like light grey rubble type stuff. I might have a look at the Geek Gaming stuff and the base ready stuff they've got. I might have a look and see if there's anything that would fit for that as well. That might work well. But that brings me up to time, folks, on the chat. So let me show you what we've finished tonight. So these are. Let me just get these ones off the. Oh, that one's just stuck on the. That's it. It's stuck on there as well. I'll get that one off as well. So this is what we got finished tonight, folks. And I've still got the bike to do, so I'll probably do that tomorrow, and then this is all finished. But yeah, that's where we got to. We got those finished tonight, which is not too bad. They'll fit in nicely alongside the blue team to fight against, if you like, red versus blue. Never bad for a little starter set, isn't it? Just have those guys battling away. So we've got those finished. Well, to Miniature Patency in the Wild West Exodus lore, aliens came to Earth and lost tech, which released the Hex, a dark space force thing. Just wants to be left alone in a violent way. The rest feeds the elements from the aliens. Yeah, I've been listening to a little bit of the stuff, but like from the different factions, I'm not really sure which ones I'm kind of interested in yet. Lee Burns is a bit of a Grelin Earth crackle paint. I thought about that as well, mate, to be honest. I've got some of that. And Tiberius says, sounds mad, but gold rims on ultramarine bases look cool as hell. I might have to do one, mate, just to try that. Phil saying good night, Andy. Thank you, Phil. Thank you for your pledge tonight as well. Much appreciated. Gene saying no finishes for me, roughing out 10 pieces. And Tim says, nice work, Andy. Cheers all. Have a good week. Thanks, folks. I'll see you. Windy XL as well. Good evening. Says Vallejo pastes for the win. A lot more for your money. I'll have to check them out now. Yeah, thanks, folks. Thanks for popping in tonight. Thank you to everybody that joined the Patreon tonight as well. That was absolutely amazing. A nice little start to the month. And I will see you, if you're now in the Patreon chat over in Discord, I'll see you there probably tomorrow now. I'm probably just going to go straight to bed now. But yeah, if I don't speak to you before, I'll see you on Monday's Monday night live stream. Thanks very much. Thanks for watching my video. I hope that you really enjoyed it. And if you did, why not consider clicking on the suggested video below to see more of the work that I've done. If you'd like to support the long-term sustainability of this channel, why not consider checking out my Patreon, where you can pledge and support from as little as $2 a month. And there is lots of different tiers and bonuses, which will give you access to a private Discord server. It will give you free t-shirts, free mugs, a podcast every month, and a number of other things, including getting your name at the end of every video, like these awesome folks who already support me now.